Good to
Cheers.
see you, brother.
Good to see you, man.
We're just saying you're a professional podcaster now too.
Yeah, I guess. A little
Isn't
bit
that
different,
wild?
you know. It's wild, man.
I mean, when I met you, nobody was podcasting.
No.
Now
You're
everybody's
like, you should podcast. You do a really good podcast. I'm like, all right, I'll podcast.
I wonder how many podcasts I've talked people into doing.
A lot. I think you're responsible for most of my Spotify playlist.
It's got to be over 50.
Dude.
At this time, like the amount of people that actually have podcasts that got podcasts after I told them, you should probably do a podcast.
Yeah.
People were getting annoyed at me. I ran into people that would tell me personally in the street, dude, I love your podcast, but please stop telling everybody to do a podcast. I was like, why? What if they're good at it? What if they get good at it?
Yeah.
Like, what's the harm? You don't like it? Don't download it.
No.
It's super easy to deal with.
It is, yeah. Yeah, that was the thing. You're just like, what? You're like, Remi, you know what you need to do? What? Podcast. I was like, I think you told me 3 times before it got Fuck.
Well, you're a great podcast guest. So if you're a great podcast guest and you were great on that show, Apex Predator.
Yeah, thanks.
Like it's simple. You're a
Yeah.
good talker.
Yeah, just tell people what I know, I guess.
And your perspective is very interesting because your perspective is a guy that hunts like, how many days a year do you hunt?
Now, I don't know. It's probably...
Down to 200?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, no,
You know,
seriously,
that's
I
nuts.
know.
That's most of the year.
I
Most
know.
of the year
Most
you're
of
in
the
the
year.
woods.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is crazy. That's
It
like
is crazy.
super unusual for a human being.
It is, yeah.
And living in America in 2024, what percentage of the population do you like consider your peers?
Very small percentage.
There's like Cam Haynes, Ranella, you, Dudley, but I don't think those guys hunt as much. You know?
No, yeah,
They don't hunt as much because you guide as well.
Yeah, I'm just like a different kind of addict where I just have to be out there and doing it.
Well, it's, the people that don't know, it's an amazing experience just to be out there. It's amazing. It's like nothing else that you experience. It's literally wild. And there's a lot of wild things that you do that are like, wow, this is wild. But no, this is literally wild.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
for real wild.
I think the thing is for me is I can go out there and you don't know what you're going to encounter.
Right.
You like, it's not a mundane experience. Everything you have to be aware. It's like you could be out there and one day this happens and everything's fine. And the next day you get attacked by a bear. And then the next day you're like, it snows on you and you're freezing. It's just every day is so different. And even doing it over and over and over, nothing's ever the same.
And it can't be.
No.
I mean, there's too many different environments. Like, you just got back. I was listening to your podcast about hunting for muskox.
Yep.
And that experience of, like, hours and hours every day in just whiteness.
Yeah.
Just snow and nothing but on snowmobiles. Like, that fucking freaks me out.
That was the best part about it is just, like, the place. Sometimes hunting takes you to those really cool places that you never thought you'd go. Like, nobody goes above the Arctic Circle unless they're a scientist figuring out, global warming shit or somebody going hunting. Because it's not, I guess there's a few people doing polar expeditions and things like that, but it's not a place you just go vacation.
Is this from your Instagram? So this is what it's like out there? Oh, wow. So it's like little trailers out there?
Yeah, you're essentially traveling on frozen ocean, and you look at the size of the Arctic, and it's like larger than North America.
Is it really?
For the most, I'm not sure exactly how big it is, but when you look at the whole Arctic Circle, that whole region, it is massive.
Is it really larger than North America?
Larger than the United States for sure.
Wow. And so larger than the United States, and it's all
I guess
just
it's
snow?
part of North America, so you can't really say it's larger than North America. Yeah, it's just wild. It's frozen snow, and then there's like the frozen ocean, and then there's islands in it that would be land. Kind of has some undulation in there, like little hills. And there's a Arctic hare just digging. It's like, what do they eat?
Yeah.
They eat the tundra, I guess.
The Arctic hare and the ptarmigans, right?
Yeah.
Like, what do they eat?
I don't know, just the grasses, seeds,
Just whatever pops up out of in little spots where they can find.
Yeah. And it's not the thing about it is it's super windy all the time too, because there's nothing to stop the wind. So it's really cold, and then it's even colder because you get that wind chill.
Oh.
But that wind blows pretty fierce, and that wind's always moving the snow. So the snow's always there, but there would be like a lot of drifts, but it'll cause areas where there's maybe a hill to blow open. So that's what the muskox eat. That's what the Arctic hare. So you find like those kind of areas, and that there's food sources there.
How crazy is that? You're relying on the wind to uncover the snow to give you enough food to sustain.
it's wild. And then to sustain an animal that's that large, like
Yeah.
as large as a muskox.
Well, that gives me hope for Bigfoot.
Yeah, exactly.
When people say, what would they eat? Well, muskox live out in Antarctica.
Yeah.
The Arctic Circle.
Yeah.
The Arctic. And when you're out there, how many people live there full time?
I can't remember. I think it's under 1,000.
Wow. And
that's like a larger. We flew into like a larger area and then went, over 100 miles from there.
What do those folks do for the most part?
There's some in the summertime. There's like fishing, and then hunting in the wintertime, and that's
what they live off of.
Yeah. There is stuff like some of the more remote. There's other villages that don't have, like an airplane that goes to it or whatever, and they're purely subsistence or getting things in a couple times a year. Like that particular spot, the fuel comes in once a year.
Once a year.
Yeah.
And so if somebody pokes a hole in the fuel tank,
that's it.
Fucked.
Yeah, you're done.
Oh my God.
It's pretty crazy.
Fuel comes in once a year. It's such a crazy thing to say. Like you got to plan for the whole year.
How much fuel? Everybody uses diesel for everything, heating, everything.
And if you don't have it, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Wow.
Very, very, very crazy. Like, I don't know. It's just there's places in the world that are so unlike what we're used to.
Oh yeah.
And that's
imagine there's people that are going to live their whole life there.
Oh yeah. Most of the people that I met had never left that village.
Wow. Imagine taking them to Hawaii. They'd be like,
Yeah,
what the fuck am I doing with my life? This is so ridiculous. I could be in Hawaii.
I don't know if they would like it.
What are you talking about? Everybody likes Hawaii.
Yeah,
they would love it.
You would think, but it's just like that's what they know. I think it'd be too hot. They'd be like, I don't like this place.
I'll take too hot. I'll take too hot all day.
Yeah.
Over fucking freezing tundra and wind and fuck that.
Yeah.
Well, you mind sweating a little bit? You're next to the ocean. Jump in the water. Cool off. Relax.
Yeah. They like their food. They like to eat stuff that I wasn't a fan of. It's called muktuk. It's like essentially whale fat that's been like cured.
Whoa. Like fermented?
Not fermented. It's more like salted. Almost like like whale beef jerky.
Oh, like okay. Ooh.
Yeah.
Whale fat. That's what it looks like?
Yeah. That's it.
Bourdain told me that fermented shark was the most disgusting thing he ever ate.
Yeah, I haven't had that, but I've heard it's really bad.
And they love it.
Shark.
And apparently, wherever the fuck it is, I guess it's Iceland, would they eat it a lot?
Iceland, yeah.
That's what it looks like, Jamie? Yeah. Is that what it would look like when you were eating it?
Yeah.
What does it taste like?
I don't. It's like greasy, rotten fish, maybe.
Oh.
No, not a fan.
What kind of whale is it, too?
The guys, some of the Inuit guys, they have like preferred whale kinds. They like narwhal the best, is what he said, and then beluga whale, and then there's other whales that they don't like as much. So yeah, like when the community gets they do all that in the summertime, and then they save it for the winter time. But I guess you'd need to eat a lot of fat to survive the winter.
Whale in my brain goes into the same category as monkey. Like you're eating whale or you're eating monkey. I'm like, yo, do you have to do that?
No. Yeah, I'm not a fan.
It seems like you probably shouldn't do that.
Yeah, I had tried muktuk before, and so when they busted it out, I was like, I will pass. Thank you.
Were they offended?
No, I think that they just didn't get it,
Right.
But like their whole culinary experience too is like we got the muskox and it was like really good meat, and I cooked it up with some like garlic and canned mushrooms in a pan and do it how I like medium rare, and it was phenomenal. And the way they do their cooking is they just boil it. They like it boiled. Everything. But you think about it, I mean, they've lived so long in a lot of isolation, no doctors, none of this. So they're very cautious about their food, and they just don't want to get sick from it or anything like that. So for probably their entire forever, it's just overcook the food and then you don't get sick.
Oh, wow. Yeah, if you get a parasite up there, you're in real trouble.
You're in trouble. So everything's boiled. They like it boiled.
Well, I guess if you drink the broth too, you know, it's like a soup.
Yeah.
Making like kind of a meat soup.
Right.
It's probably a good way to be like effective. Like you don't need to cook in fat that way.
Yeah, they just boil it and then they've got everything in the pot, and
they get their dietary fat from just this whale fat stuff.
Yeah.
Do they eat anything else that they get dietary fat from?
No, I think whales. They eat seals.
They probably have no diseases.
Yeah, you're probably
No cancer, no heart attacks,
No,
like
I don't
nothing.
know.
Everybody lives to 110.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
It's probably good. It's probably good for you. Those people that live. Have you ever seen that Werner Herzog film, Happy People?
Oh, man, I can't remember.
It's the one where the trappers in the taiga in Siberia.
No, I haven't
it's
seen
an
that
amazing documentary. So Werner Herzog went to Siberia and hung out. I don't know if he was just narrating it or if he was actually there. I think he was just narrating it. Maybe he went there, but someone went there. Point is, like, these people are extremely happy. And they just, all they do is go trapping and fishing and hunting. And they live in these villages and they go around on snowmobiles. And it's a kind of, it's interesting because it's like, what is life supposed to be about? Is it supposed to be about enjoying yourself, or is it supposed to be about accomplishing things? Like, because if it's supposed to be about accomplishing things and you don't enjoy yourself, it seems like you're kind of missing part of the point of life. And these people, their life is enjoyable. Like, they love fishing. They're laughing, and when they're going hunting, they're talking about hunting, how much they love hunting and fishing, and it's fun. And you get all this food, and they're just pulling these massive pike out of the river. They have these giant nets and shit, and so they're having a good old time, like, all day long.
Yeah.
They're freezing the fish. They feed the fish to the dogs. Like, they have this whole system worked out. They just completely exist with what they have with very little thing other than like snowmobiles and the occasional like machine that they need. They make all their skis. They hand make their skis. Wow. This guy was like showing how to make a ski. And so he like is like using the pitch and the tar and like heating the thing up and cutting it perfectly and planing it. It's pretty amazing stuff.
Yeah, that's wild.
I
guess that's like,
shit.
Yeah, everybody works real hard to go on vacation and go fishing. Like, this is just what we're doing, man.
They just live that way. I met a dude when I was in the British Virgin Islands who worked for a big tech company. I don't want to say the company, but it's like a major company that, like, you know, they make like fucking jets and shit for the military. And he just was like, I don't see this. I don't see this just doesn't seem like a good path for the rest of my life. I'm seeing all these people that were managers and executives that are trying to work their way up the corporate ladder, and everyone's miserable, everyone's exhausted, everyone's overworked. They're all putting in crazy hours. They bring work home with them. You know, they hardly see their family. They make a lot of money, sure, but he was like, fuck this. He just became a fishing guide, British Virgin Islands. Fucking super chill guy. But as I was talking to him, it's like bringing up scientific terms for different animals and like the way different fish have like very specific. I forget the term he was using about like. It was particularly about barracuda. That barracuda, like they make their skin oilier so they can go faster, so they can move through the water faster. Yeah, they're lubed. They're lubed up. But he was explaining it in like these scientific terms. And I was like, wow, this guy is like very, he's an amazing vocabulary for a guy who runs a fishing boat. Like, he sounds like a scientist.
Yeah.
He's like a guy who I would talk to on a podcast. And the more we're talking, you know, because we're on this 4-hour fishing trip, the more we're talking, he starts telling me his background. We starts talking about the business he was in. I was like, that's crazy. And she just decided to bail on it all and just start fishing. Like, that's like a character in a movie.
Yeah.
You know, like nobody does that. Everybody just stays miserable.
Yeah, exactly.
They stay miserable, they buy a new Lexus, and they, you know, feel pretty good about themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I was like, I feel very fortunate. I feel like a pretty happy person because I pretty much get to do what I love all the time.
You get to do the thing that everybody looks forward to like if you're a hunter and you have like September for our elk or November for whitetail, like you look forward to the rut like nothing else in life other than like your kid's birthday.
Yeah, exactly.
You're just so excited about this opportunity that you're going to get to spend a week in the woods, and that's your whole job.
Yeah.
That's mostly what you do.
It is. Yeah, it's great.
You're super lucky, man. You're lucky. So we brought you out here today to do a podcast, but also because I wanted to get you into Ways to Well because you had a crazy wrist injury that you wound up getting 2 surgeries on, right?
Yeah, because last time I was in here, I just started shooting that mouth tab.
That's right. We talked about last time.
I think
That's
I
right.
just got it set up. Yeah, we shot.
Yeah.
That was like some of the first arrows I'd flung in front of another human.
That mouth tab thing had to be weird. For people who don't know what we're talking about, so just explain the injury. Let's get into the injury first.
Yeah, so, I mean, I tore tendon in my wrist that does a lot of the movement things, and it ended up being dislocated and had to do a reconstruction of the tendon and all that stuff. Had a surgery, essentially a botched surgery, which made a surgery that the surgery did probably more damage than maybe even the initial thing. Come to find out, yeah. So the bad surgery caused a lot of complications, and then had to have like a salvage surgery after that.
What kind of complications did it cause?
I mean, I lost the feeling in my hand.
You don't feel anything in that
No,
hand?
I do now. The second surgery, they like fixed all that.
Oh, wow.
There was, just like the recovery went from, essentially what did they promise? Like 3 month to 6 month kind of recovery to a couple years down the track and still not even being able to function 100%.
Wow.
Still a lot of pain and other things. So, but because of that.
So what was wrong with the first surgery? Like, what did they do? It just didn't turn out well?
Yeah, well, they broke one of the bits when they were drilling in, and the bit, I guess, got broken in it's like a hollow screw, so it got busted off in there. So then they tried to use another bit to retrieve the bit and broke that bit. And then they used a hammer and they used a hammer and something else to pound out the
bit,
the broken stuff. Yeah.
Oh my god.
And then that caused that was an anchor screw. So then that tore so they took my tendon, used that tendon to make a tendon, and then that damaged the tendon. But then, I'd been under a tourniquet for so long that it's like you got to just finish it up, see what happens. Well, what happened was the tendon tore, so essentially surgery was a complete failure. It didn't work at all.
Oh wow.
Plus I now had all this additional scar tissue from the hammering and the trying to beat the thing back out. So that's what caused a lot of like.
Did you go to a veterinarian or a regular doctor?
Exactly.
Get work on horses?
No, it was like the first monkeys performing surgery. I thought it was like, this could be great.
It'd be a cool YouTube
Yeah,
video.
it would be a great YouTube
Imagine
video.
it works
yeah.
out well. Have some faith.
Yeah.
These monkeys are well trained.
Yeah, it's great.
Got a fucking hammer trying to get a broken drill bit out of your wrist. Dude, that had to suck.
Yeah, so that caused the problem. So yeah, and part of it for me is just I wasn't going to sit out in archery season, so I learned to shoot with my mouth because I couldn't draw the bow with my right hand with the right wrist because it was immobilized for a long time, casts and all that stuff. So I would have missed a hunting season. So I just learned to shoot, biting down on a tab, drawing back, shooting. Got super proficient with it and had probably one of my best seasons. Like,
wow.
It was awesome. I
remember when Dudley did that. Dudley had shoulder surgery.
Yeah, and he actually had to switch hands too, which I was fortunate. I think it was better that everyone's like, it was my dominant hand, but for bow shooting, I'm right eye dominant, so I control the bow with my left hand. So it was the same everything except just biting and shooting.
Yeah, I've often thought about that, if that's smart. I think my right arm's probably more stable than my left arm.
Yeah.
It's quite a bit stronger, I think.
You shoot right-handed?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I pull the bow with my right.
Yeah.
But I feel like my right would probably be more stable.
It would. That's the thing people. So if you don't know, for archery, you base off what hand you shoot. It's actually your eye dominance. So whatever eye is the eye that controls your vision is the eye that you shoot with a bow. So you can have both eyes open, see the sight and the pin and the target simultaneously. So if you wanted to know how to do it, you can like put your hands up, focus on an object that's far away, and then close one eye. And if it stays there, that's the dominant eye. If it moves, so when I close my left eye, the object stays there. I'm right eye dominant, so I shoot a right-handed bow, which is weird because you're drawing it with your right hand. But every other, like if you're shooting a pistol and you're right-handed, you use your dominant hand to control the weapon.
Right.
So it like really, if you're cross-eye dominant and you shoot a bow, everybody thinks that's a bad thing. It's probably a better thing. You are probably almost more natural in a way.
Either way. Obviously, you could shoot a bow with your left hand. Obviously, people shoot a bow with their right hand.
Yeah.
So either way would work.
Exactly.
Like, I think it's a lot of malarkey.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of malarkey that I recognize from like when people say you have to do certain things one way with martial arts.
Right.
Like most of the time.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of exceptions.
There's
a lot of different ways to skin a cat.
Like there's people that didn't even know that and they started drawing to their non-dominant eye, but you can never shoot with both eyes open that way.
Boxing trainers will always tell you that you should, like in the beginning, they would never tell you to switch stances. Never switch stances. But some of the best fighters ever switch stances.
Yeah.
But you're not them. But wait a minute, how do you become them? I mean, some of the best boxers of all time, like Terrence Crawford, today, one of the best switch hitters ever. Marvin Hagler, switch hitter. Boots Ennis. There's like really good boxers today that switch hit. They do it all the time. But back in the day, you just stood one leg forward and you got, and I'm like, but some people do it this way, right?
Right.
So why not learn to do it that way and be able to do it this way?
Yeah.
It seems way smarter than to just be completely relying on left foot forward all the time.
Right.
And with archery, I bet if you practice with, no one's going to get a left-handed bow, but I bet if you did, I bet you would get better at your right, because that's a phenomenon that happens with learning things. Like even learning how to write with your left hand will teach you to write better. You'll write better with your right hand.
I don't know who it was, but I'd heard there was a guy, a fairly prominent archer, that got such bad target panic that he switched to shooting the opposite hand, and it helped.
It fixed it.
Yeah, because his brain was so trained to shooting one way that he just switched. It's like,
Bro, target
start
panic.
over.
Target panic is bananas. People talk about target panic like Candyman. Like,
Yeah,
don't say its
right.
name too many times.
Yeah,
It'll
exactly.
show up behind you.
100%.
If folks who don't know what target panic is, it's a real thing, particularly with target archers, with people who their whole life is like, your life is about getting an arrow to an X.
Yep.
And if you fuck up even a little bit, just a little baby fuck up left and right, it's a 9. And if you really fuck up, it's an 8. But if you hit that X, you're banging 10s, baby.
Yep,
Let's
exactly.
go. And so a lot of these guys can shoot 30 X's in a row. Now imagine the mind fuck of being completely stationary 29 times in a row. And here comes the 30th, and that little demon creeps in your head. You're going to fuck it up, Remi. You're going to fuck it up. You're going to miss. You're going to miss. It'll get into your head, and that's target panic for these guys. Some of them can't even put the pin on the target.
Yeah.
They have to lift the pin up to the target, and when it gets to the target, like a drive-by, they pull the trigger.
Yeah.
Like they're just going crazy.
Yeah, they just like force it in there, and you get, and
They just
bad.
panic, you know. And we've had Joel Turner from Shot IQ, like
Yep.
his whole system that he has for keeping people in a conscious state of mind so that you don't experience that.
Yeah.
You don't just go on, you don't just spaz out, which is, I can't recommend enough. It's very, very, very good stuff for people. But I guess for a guy like you do it so often that it's like a normal thing. Like you actually hit the trigger when you want the arrow to go.
I do, yeah.
Right, which is like,
most people don't do that anymore.
Don't do
Yeah.
it. They'll tell you, don't do it, don't. But I think there's more than one way to address very high stress, complicated situations. And this idea that you have to have every shot be an unexpected shot, I don't agree with that. You have to shoot right-handed. You have to. I don't agree with any of that. I think you just have to be good at doing it that way.
Right.
And you're obviously very good at doing it that way. Like I've shot with you at targets. I've seen you shoot like at distances. You're really accurate.
Yeah.
And you're still doing it the way they say you're not supposed to do it.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the trouble, man. I was too hard-headed, and I taught myself a bad way to do it. I've changed the way that I shoot from when I first started shooting, but yeah, it's probably not pretty, but I actually
think there's
do
anything
more of
wrong
a,
with it.
I use an index release, which is just like a post where you activate it with your trigger. But the way that I've done it is I use kind of more of like a back tension style of pulling with that. I used to just slap the trigger and was super accurate with it.
That's what Camp does.
Yeah, you know what's funny is that's how I started shooting. And I was shooting like tournaments and like 3D things, just, you know, getting my foot in the door with it just for fun in the off season. Never got super serious because it cut into hunting, but I'd do it, and I was winning like by a lot. And this guy that I was shooting with was like, "You're shooting absolutely wrong. You're not supposed to shoot like that." And it got in my head. It fucked with me, man. I was like, "Wait, I'm doing it wrong? Like nobody's ever told me how to do it." And that messed me up. But
That's what I'm saying.
I was like, "It's just a mind.
It's a mind
game."
fuck. There's no way to do it wrong.
No.
Look, Cam shoots that way. He's
Yeah.
one of the best bow hunters that's ever walked the face of the earth. He shoots that way.
Yeah.
He makes that thing go off.
Yeah.
And then there's Dudley, who doesn't.
Right.
You know, Dudley, who'll shoot with a hinge sometimes, or shoot, with back tension.
Yeah.
You know.
But I'm also, my thing is I shoot a bow for hunting. And so for hunting, that's the best style of release in my opinion. And I'm very accurate with it. So I'm not trying to shoot 900 X's in a row. Like I'm trying to make one perfect arrow. And so I can focus on that one shot, and that release works better for me for hunting. So that's why I
do you
choose it.
think that the wrist strap with the finger trigger is the best one?
For hunting?
Yeah.
Because it's always on you.
Okay. So you don't have to reach for it?
You don't have to reach for it. You don't have to move for it. It's like always there. And then the other thing is, they talk about like don't punch the trigger or whatever. But in certain situations, I need that arrow to go now. I don't need to be pulling through the shot. Like this is my opportunity. And I can
you might be shooting in a window.
Yeah, or in the wind, and I've got to cant the bow just right, and I need to make like a more technical shot that maybe not that it's rushed, but it's like this is when it has
to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it can happen the other way, but for me, it's just easier to be like in full control of that decision-making process.
There's also an argument on the other side now in target archery, like Kyle Douglas. Like Kyle Douglas, he hits the trigger, and he wins Vegas.
Right. Yeah.
He just he pulls so hard that he's pulled bows apart.
Really?
Yeah. So he pulls on the wall so hard. So he's just got that motherfucker locked out, and he uses in indoor tournaments he uses a thumb, and hunting he uses a finger trigger.
Yeah, I love it. It's like you're doing it wrong. It's scoreboard.
He won. He's doing it right. Like you can't.
Right.
There's that thing. Like if you can do that with a sniper, right? Like I had a long conversation with Andy Stumpf about this, who was in SEALs and he's a sniper, and I was, we were talking about like methods, and he's like, as long as you're repeatable, you know how to do this one method. Like this mindset of there's only one way to do it. It has to be an unanticipated shot. He's like, no, like if you're a sniper, it's not unanticipated.
Right.
You just don't move, don't flinch. Like if you've ever, one of the proudest things if you ever go to a range is when you run out of ammo, but you don't flinch.
Yep.
You just squeeze the trigger. You're like, oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, exactly.
It's beautiful. Like even though there's nothing, the gun doesn't go off, you didn't do any of this stupid shit.
Yep.
You didn't move your hands. And if you can just do that with a shot, you can make a perfectly accurate shot by deciding when it goes off. It is possible. The idea that it's not possible, that's a silly thing to say.
Right.
But is it possible for some people? Well, some people are spazzes.
Right.
And some people are freaked out by anxiety, the moment, the adrenaline, or they don't know how to keep their mind contained, like with Joel Turner's methods, which I think anybody should know that. Anybody should know that. You should talk to yourself during it to keep yourself from just acting because of the anxiety, which is because it's a normal like tendency that people have to spaz out.
Yeah, I think the other thing too is like maybe there's ways that are probably best for most people, and that might be the way that's best for most people. But then there's also that I think the people that have a lot of time into something can do it a different way than a lot of other people because they understand that moment. Right. So like there's a lot of people that they get drawn back on an elk. They've tried to get within range of an elk for 5 years.
Right.
This is their opportunity, and they don't know how to react to that without some other kind of
complete freak out.
Complete freak out.
And
doesn't matter what it is.
There's also like if you in a situation where you might get a shot soon, or you didn't know you're going to get a shot, and all of a sudden you do.
Yeah.
Because if you didn't know you're going to get a shot, and all of a sudden you do, your adrenaline just kicks in, your fucking heart's beating, woo! But if you know it's going to happen, you're like, hey, stay chill. It's coming. It's coming. Like he's 100 yards away. He's moving in this direction. You might be getting a shot. Oh my God, he's coming. He's still coming. He's coming. We got to get in a position. You give yourself time to experience that this is actually going to happen, rather than he's just there. Ah!
Right.
And then you just and you try to stay calm, but your arms moving all over the place.
Yep.
It's different experiences, and whether or not your brain knows how to process those experiences. If you've had a bunch of those experiences, you're like, oh, I've been here before.
Yeah.
I know what this is. I know how to do this. Okay, it's going to happen, so stay calm, pick a spot, pull through your shot.
Yeah. And even even myself, like there's times where you go, it's actually the opposite for me. If something surprise is like there, you're just like, it's here. But it's when you got to stalk all day on something. You're like, I've invested my entire day into this, or this is the last chance. Like, don't fuck it up. Like you go, that's when you start to, okay, well, when I get there, here's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Talk yourself through it in a way.
When you're going through the shot, do you talk to yourself as you're shooting, as you're pulling the trigger?
No, but there's a little bit of a checklist just so I don't kind of like draw back, anchor, level, focus. Kind of a...
So you just go through that checklist in your head?
Yeah, I think so.
So do you go through it like audibly, or do you go through it where you just do the things?
I do the things.
Level, center your peep, all that. Go through all that?
Yeah, line. I just make sure that I'm making the good shot, and then I just focus on that shot.
Do you have you ever tried the thumb triggers? Or...
Yeah, I've got all kinds of releases, and I'll shoot them all, but just for, I don't even know why, just for fun, I guess. Right. Or like, let's say sometimes too, if I'm like shooting and I go, God, I'm just not shooting good, then I'll swap up the way that I shoot and go, oh, okay, there's something like my normal method of shooting is, maybe it's, I don't even know if you'd call it like essentially a target panic, kind of where I'm not shooting right. Then I go, I'll grab that other one. Okay. And then I get back in the rhythm and shoot.
Do you find any difference in your accuracy with a handheld release, like a thumb trigger release versus a finger trigger release?
I'm probably more accurate with the finger trigger because that's what I shoot all the time. You know?
Do you do the thumb behind the head thing?
With the trigger?
Yeah.
No.
Cam does that.
I
tell you not
I do
to
something.
Do that?
No, I mean that's a good way to get your anchor point. I guess I don't. I'd have to do it, but I'll hit things. I do more of a knuckle experience on the jaw.
Knuckle to the jaw.
Yeah.
What we're talking about, folks who don't do archery, is like you have specific anchor points on. So the whole idea about shooting accurately is that you want to repeat the exact same position that you're in each time you shoot. So there's a peep sight that's in the string, and you're looking through that peep sight, and what you're trying to do is center the sight housing so that it completely halos inside of that peep sight. And then you look down at your bubble, and you want to make sure that your bubble is level. So there's like a little leveler that's below your sight pin. And you make sure that that's level. So that means you're not going to be torquing the bow left or right, or canting the bow, which could affect the way it goes off.
Yep.
And so you have anchor points, like the tip of your nose, and some people use like a little button on the string that they touch. Like Cam has one of those where it touches the corner of his mouth. Or I have a nose button. I like that. Have you ever tried those?
I haven't, no.
They're great because it's pointy. It like pokes your nose, and you feel it on the tip. Josh Bomar made it. Like, so it touches the tip of your nose, and it like digs into your nose. You know 100% you're in the right spot because it just like pokey on your nose, like right there. And some people, when they draw back, they'll tell you, do not put your thumb behind your neck. Do not do that. But that's how Cam does it. And he shoots perfectly like that. And so I tried it. I can't do it right. I have to have my neck is too big, so I'd have to go like way back because I'd have to have a draw length that's longer than I really should have in order to. But I fucked around with it and bent my arm forward a little bit and did it this way, and I was like, this is better. Because you're locked in.
Right.
Like, how stable is that? If you can get your thumb behind your head, behind your neck, like that's fucking stable as shit.
Yeah.
Like, that's locked in. That's way more locked in than holding it there.
Right.
You know, like if you have like a hinge, you're doing like this, you've got your knuckle like right where your jaw is generally, or some spot in your face.
Yep.
That's not as accurate as this. This is like locked in. You're not going anywhere. But they'll tell you not to do it, and I've never had anybody explain to me why.
I think it's probably because most people, like you said, if you're way back here, you're putting string pressure from your face onto the string, so it's pushing the knock one way or another, and so it'd be really hard to tune maybe because everything needs to be straight. And so you'd be pushing the knock one direction. So
I see what you're saying.
You could adjust it. You could factor in, but also you could use a different style release where if you had an index style release where that's there and it's forward enough, it wouldn't make a difference.
Well, the thing about those adjustable ones, when they have adjustable necks, like the Spot Hog, a Wise Guy has an adjustable neck. You can make that sucker like real long, or you can pull it down short. So you could find. if your neck isn't too big. Like if you're a big giant football player, this is not going to work for you.
Yeah.
But doesn't even work for me, but it works for Cam. He gets it right behind his neck. And
Yeah.
it locks in there. And I think like anything where you can anchor in, and there's no other way you're anchoring that way, right? There's no other way you're anchoring forward. Like this stops everything in its fucking tracks. I think this is like the best thing you could ever do.
Right.
If you could really make that work, I wish my neck was smaller so I could pull this off. I would do that because I feel like that is locked in, man.
Yeah,
That's locked in.
Yeah, and I've got like a small face, so I think it'd work for me.
But there's archery people out right now pulling their hair out, going, "Shut up! This is terrible advice."
I know.
Meanwhile, I watched Cam Hanes shoot balloons at 120 yards like that.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. It doesn't matter what you do. There's always the armchair critics that know how to do it better. It's like, well, I got a certain kind of injury and I got to draw a certain kind of way. It looks like shit, but it works.
Well, there's a very similar situation in, I think, almost every sport. It's definitely in pool. There's so many different schools of thought in pool of like how you're supposed to stroke the ball, whether or not you drop your elbow, whether or not what fingers you hold the cue with, whether you turn your wrist forward before you shoot, or whether you always keep it parallel or dangling rather. So there's all sorts of, like, I think it's with everything that people are struggling to master. Like people have ways that they think everybody should do it, and then someone will come along that does it like completely different, and they're killing everybody. And you're like,
Right.
how? What? Like when the Filipinos came to America, American pool players, they would back in the day at least, they would hold the cue lightly, but not like the Filipinos. The Filipinos, like Efren Reyes, who's like one of the greatest of all time, he's like barely holding on to it. It's like his hand is like a loose noodle. And he's just like, it's smooth, like he's playing a violin or something. It's wild to watch. And it's like this delicate way of hitting the balls, like maximum efficiency of his motion. It's all smooth. And they changed the way Americans started playing. But if you had like an American coach, like if you played that way and you sucked and you went to an American coach, they'd be like, "What? Stop doing it that way. This is not you stop your elbow moving. Your elbow's only supposed to do this, just a tiny motion, just back and forth. And the upper part stays completely still, always." These Filipinos are moving that shit around like crazy and playing like wizards. Like some of the best players today, they drop their elbows, they move things around. They have long bridges, short. Buddy Hall, one of the greatest of all time, short little tiny bridge. And some of the greatest players, long ass bridge, like Earl Strickland, long bridge. Like there's no, like it's all just repeatability.
Yeah.
What can you do over and over and over and over again, efficiently and accurately? And I think it's the same with archery. I think it's the same with pool. It's the same with a lot of things. There's fundamental principles, like you have to be able to hit the ball straight if you want it to go straight, right?
Right.
With an arrow, you have to be able to shoot a straight arrow.
Yep.
Do you know how to do that? Well, how come some people do it sideways? I've seen guys who like to do it with compound bows sideways.
Really? Yeah.
Well, what are you doing? Like I guess they started that way with like traditional bows.
Yeah, because you can't the bow on a traditional bow.
And so they just kept doing it that way. And I'm sure you've seen guys who shoot compound bows with no sights.
Yep.
Like instinctive, which is really kind of wild.
Yeah, or fingers, or I mean, you can do whatever. Because I like to hunt with a traditional bow too, so I do that every year as well. And the way that I shoot that is completely different than the way that I shoot a compound bow. I mean, because I actually just I do what's an instinctive method of traditional shooting, where a lot of people do like different kinds of string walking or whatever. I just do the shoot the arrow, know the trajectory, kind of like
you're throwing a rock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if I'm going to throw, and the way that I practice is I walk around with a blunt tip. It's just like a non-sharp tip or practice tips. I walk around, I shoot pine cones in the forest. You know, that's like, but
just to gauge the loop, the arc.
And so you just build it, and it just becomes instinct, where it's like, if I'm going to toss a pen to Jamie or my phone to Jamie or over there, it's like
instinct.
I'm not going to throw it in his face,
right? And
I'm not going to like hit it on the floor. I'm going to toss it to him.
Right.
It's the same. You just like, you toss the arrow.
Can you toss on with your right hand now, or is it fucked up?
I mean, I guess I can. I look like a little girl. I did one of those axe throwing things with my buddies, and they're like, "Can you please stop?" This is embarrassing.
You're gonna fucking kill everybody.
Yeah, this is embarrassing.
That is one good advantage of having your finger trigger, though. You don't have to have all that weight held in your hand.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
You might actually, if you weren't the other way, you might actually have been forced to switch to a wrist strap.
Potentially. Yeah.
Yeah. Does the wrist fuck with your wrist at all? The wrist strap?
It does. Yeah. It puts pressure on the one spot that we got. That they did those injections, man. I'm hoping that.
Yeah.
I have a lot of. I think it's gonna be awesome. Like
it's gonna make a big difference. Yeah. I can't say enough about waste of well and just stem cells in general. I mean, I've got a bunch from my friend Roddy McGee in Vegas, and what they do is fix things that you would ordinarily have to get surgery for. And in your case, with the torn ligaments, they would have to have a surgery.
Yeah, that's what they said.
Yeah, once it's ripped.
After that, the recovery portion is where you need it.
Exactly. And it just really helps heal injuries, man. Really helps. I have had a left knee problem for a long time. Like I tore my ACL on my left leg when I was 22, I think. I tore it, and then I had a surgery on it where they did a patella tendon graft, and they tried to suture up the meniscus because there was a tear in the meniscus as well. But the suture didn't take, and the meniscus tore, and then had a bucket handle tear in the meniscus, which is pretty significant because it would lock my leg out, and so that I had to get some of the meniscus removed. So it's always like a little less stable there. There's a little space there, and it gets banged around. And it's always sore. And it got over the last couple of years. It's actually the stupidest fucking way I heard it ever. I was on my way on stage at Stubbs in Austin, which is outdoor venue. And as I was going up these cement stairs, the stairs take like a little turn, and I was turning the recorder on my phone to record my set, and I stubbed my foot against the stone, and it twisted my knee sideways like somebody heel hooked me. And it was excruciating, and I had to go on stage like right there, and my leg was shaking like I was scared. So like one leg like shaking like my first time. Like I didn't even shake like that my first time on stage, but it was like because it was just throbbing, and I had to ignore it. I should have, in retrospect, I should have like addressed it and made fun of the fact that I'm such a fucking moron. And my leg was fucked for a long time after that, and it got a little bit better. And then every time I get better, I would just start kicking the bag again. Or going back to Muay Thai or going to Jiu-Jitsu, and it would hurt again. And I'm like, fucker. And so I went a whole year without kicking the bag. For me, it's crazy. I went a whole year. I'm like, I'm just going to strengthen this. I follow this guy, Ben Patrick. He's got this Instagram page, Knee Over Toes guy. Okay. I don't know if you've ever seen his stuff.
Yeah, I think I just seen something you'd
It's amazing. So I've been doing all these goblet squats on a slant board and Nordic curls and all these different exercises to strengthen all the muscles around the knee, which I never really bothered to do. I would do leg exercises, but I didn't think specifically exercises that stabilize the knee. So between that and waist to well, I have zero pain now. It's
cool.
Crazy.
That's awesome.
This has been years since I had no pain. Years. Like I would go upstairs, it would just be annoying. I'd feel it. I could do it, but I would feel it. I don't feel it at all. I mean, at all. It's nuts. It's nuts. And so the thing to me, it's always kicking the bag. Because if I can kick the bag and then I'm not sore the next day, something's changed. Because it was like every time I'd kick the bag, the next day I'd be like, oh, I'm going to pay for that. I'm going to pay for that. And I'd be walking around. It'd be kind of a little bit swollen,
Yeah.
So I'm really, really hoping that that's going to have a similar effect on your wrist.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked. They're like, yeah, you should know within a fairly short amount of time. I'm like, well.
Because he shot you up with. What was exact? I should ask.
I don't even remember.
I'll text him right now.
Yeah, there was all kinds of.
What did you shoot him up with?
An IV plus some direct into the joint stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was all gibberish to me.
Yeah,
they talking about so millions of whatever. You go, okay.
What exactly did you inject him with? I should have done this with voice. The voice is very accurate. I don't know how it is on your shitty Android phone.
Yeah.
But on these American phones, these real American Apple iPhones.
I just think it does it now.
I love
you guys
Samsungs.
are still talking.
I talk shit, but I'm not an Apple fanboy.
I know.
I've had Samsung. I was very disappointed when I found out the moon photo wasn't real, though. I was bragging to everybody.
It's
Look what my phone can do.
Right.
I could take a picture of the moon.
Yeah. But I mean, they're great
lies.
pictures. It's great. You know?
It's so clear.
Yeah,
How
it's
does
so
it do
good.
it? Because it's lying to you. They're like, it's no different than face filters. It's a lot different. If a face filter makes me look like Arnold Schwarzenegger, like then you know something's going on with that face filter. It's lying.
Right.
That moon filter's a fucking lie.
Yeah.
But other than that, they're amazing phones. I just, you know, I'm just locked in the fucking Apple ecosystem. But I love the rebels.
Yeah.
Like my friend Brian Simpson, he's Android for life. He makes fun of everybody with Apple. Gordon Ryan, same thing. Android for life. And you like annoying people.
I do. I'm just like, my favorite thing is just breaking green bubble. You know, and the best is like, I get taken off of group text. I'm like, thank God. I hate it.
Because they can't iMessage with you
exactly.
on.
So I'm like,
so silly.
take me off. Sweet. Awesome. Thank you. I didn't
Well,
want to hear that anyways.
There's actually hearings about this now because some people are arguing that Apple has created an unfair monopoly on the cell phone world because of the whole green bubble, blue bubble iMessage thing.
It's such a psychological, it's so weird. People are real attached to that.
Well, it's a status thing with kids. If kids have Android phones, they get mocked. There's some nutty thing. It's like 90% of teenagers have iPhones.
Really?
Because if you have like a Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra, which is arguably the best phone on earth, if you have that phone and you give a green bubble, you're looked at less than you have an iPhone 10.
Because you get a special color bubble.
You get a blue bubble.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're iMessaging. You can have an old ass iPhone and people respect you more.
Yeah, right.
Like, you're not that poor.
Yeah.
But you can have literally the Galaxy S24 Ultra is, listen, forget about fanboy shit. It's the best phone on earth. It's the best phone. It has AI built into the phone that will translate in real time, built into the phone.
Yeah.
It has AI that will transcribe voice recordings and summarize it for you. So you can make voice notes. It'll summarize it for you. It'll write texts in different styles. Like you could say, make this more business, make this more friendly. And it'll do that with AI.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
That's nuts. And it has a stylus. You can write on it and it'll turn it into text.
Yep.
Like you could write on it in your shitty ass handwriting and it'll transcribe it in a normal typeset.
Yeah, you can take, well, I do a lot of filming or whatever with it, photos. You can just like, it's pretty crazy, the stability of zooming in at 10 power and handhold it.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild.
And now when they're doing this, like with these phones, like Apple's phones don't give you nearly as much flexibility in terms of like what you can do with the camera app.
Right. Or like
these,
multitasking.
That's another thing they do.
I can do anything. Like
you'd have two windows going
Yeah.
simultaneously. You could have a YouTube video. Well, you kind of can do that window in window. You can kind of do that with Apple with YouTube. With YouTube, will like let you have like a little tiny window.
Right.
While you do, but with this, it'll separate your screen for you.
I could talk on the phone and watch a movie. If I want to.
Yeah, literally, it'll separate your screen for you and show you the two things. It's pretty interesting. It's the amount of but it's all that locked into that Apple world, which so many people, including me, are locked into that world.
Yeah.
So if you do deviate, it's like, what are you doing? It's like
yeah.
you're living in the woods now.
Yeah.
With your green bubble.
People will probably listen to the podcast and be like, I used to like that Remi guy, but he's a Samsung. I can't trust anything he says now. Oh my God.
It is interesting. I don't think that it's a monopoly. I just think that they've developed a way to make a product that everybody wants. I mean, it's a sneaky move, but like, how is that any different than like Nike? If you wear Nike, you're cool. If you wear Keds, you're a fucking loser.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, do you notice when you have them on that much? I mean, I guess maybe you do by the way they look, but
yeah.
What's the difference? Like, why do you care? But people care.
People care.
It's a status thing.
Yeah, it makes people angry. Like, I don't really give a shit. Like, I don't care what other people use. I just use what I like.
What problems do you encounter by using an Android phone?
It's mostly just people complaining about the bubble situation.
That's it?
And I'm like, people will be like, it's so on your phone, does a bubble? And I was like, no. Like, there's actually no, it doesn't even matter. I guess they started doing something like a screen or something, but.
Well, on your phone, you can have your text in all kinds of different colors.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
But you can change it. There's like different ways you can have it set up.
That's the main problem. And then I think the other problem is when somebody sends like a photo, because I don't know. I'm not a spokesperson.
It's
for Samsung,
SMS.
yeah, it's the most old technology there is. And so you can't communicate with my phone, not because your phone's superior, but because it doesn't use new technology.
That's the argument that what Apple is. The Apple is actually having to take a step to combat that. So what they're doing is they're coming out with RCS texting. RCS texting is rich something, I forget what it's called. But what that means is that you'll be able to have the same capability that you have, like, say, if you use WhatsApp or Signal.
Right.
Right. If you use one of those encoded messaging services, you can send a full resolution photograph. You can send a video.
Yeah.
There's not like a size limitation. So with the iMessage, you could send anything back and forth to iMessage people. But if someone wants to send you a photo, they have to send an SMS. So it could be this like, huge, amazing, high-resolution photo that you took on your Android phone with that crazy 200-megapixel lens.
Yeah.
But I get this bullshit-ass photo. Like, bro, your fucking camera sucks.
Exactly.
Because it compresses the shit out of it. And the videos are the worst.
The worst. Like this little square.
It's like you're back in 1998.
Right.
It's like AOL.com. You've got mail. That's what it looks like.
Exactly. But it's like, just get your shit with the rest of the world, man.
Apple should have done that a long time ago. They were only like Tim Cook literally said, "Get your mom an iPhone." When someone said, "How come I can't text with my mom?" and get your mom an iPhone. That's what he said. And everyone's like, "Whoa, that's not the way to handle it, fella. You're gonna get people mad at you." They just have everybody locked in. It's pretty smart. Whatever they've done, it's quite genius because the psychological aspect of it is what's interesting. It's similar to like Windows and Macs, but it's more because you're using it in public with everybody.
Right.
Whereas like if you have a window or a Mac, like if you sent me an email and you from a Windows laptop and I have a Mac laptop, I have no idea you're sending me it from a Windows. It's just coming in as an email. It's the same thing. So they figured out a way to have the thing that you carry and use the most connected to a brand that you have to that has status attached to it.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's genius.
Pretty clever.
It's the best technology they got.
I don't see how that's illegal though.
No,
it's nothing. No one's stopping you from going out and getting a Samsung.
Right. That to me is weird. Like it doesn't.
Google's one of the biggest companies in the world. And they have their own phones.
Right.
They have Pixels.
Yeah.
Which is also a great phone.
Yeah.
And then you could take those. The interesting thing, I've been going back and forth with people about this because I had a conversation with Tulsi Gabbard where we were talking about these phones that are de-Googled phones. And I guess I misspoke because I was saying that you can't use all the regular apps with them. So I think you can, but I just don't know if you could use, because it doesn't track your location. Yeah. So I don't know how you would use like Google Maps without giving it access to your location.
Yeah, I think you would if you use those apps, right?
So but then does it keep your location or does Graphene keep it from doing that?
I'm not sure.
Because Google's a little snitch.
Yeah.
Google gives you up wherever you are.
Right.
Wherever you are with that phone, they know who you are.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So I was watching this video on this last night by that Rob Braxman guy. And he was explaining, he's an interesting guy that is like all about, his whole YouTube channel is about privacy. It's all about how many people are siphoning off information off your phone and everything every day. But what he was saying that the people that got arrested January 6th, all the people that were like around the Capitol, they got arrested because of their cell phone data. So their cell phone data gave their geolocation, their tracking. And so what the FBI did was say, hey, who is there? And they went to all these different cell phone companies. They got all their data. And they said, well, all these people shows that their phone was on the Capitol lawn or was in the Capitol building. And they know where they were. And so then they go, hey, you're going to jail.
That's wild.
Yeah, from your location of your phone.
Yeah.
And even if you were there just to see what's going on. Like if you and I were there and you have your bullshit snitch phone over there, and that bullshit snitch phone is just constantly giving off all of your location to anybody in every app that asks for it, and you're on that Capitol lawn, and you're like, this is crazy, let's get out of here. And then all of a sudden, like 6 months later, the FBI knocks on your door and thinks you're an insurrectionist.
Yeah, that's wild.
Whoo!
See, I like it knowing where I'm at, so when the AI takes over, it's like, oh, he's one of the good guys. He's on our side.
Yeah, he's not one of them Ted Kaczynski guys living in the woods trying to blow us up.
Right.
Yeah, I think inevitably there will be no escape. And I think all this de-Googled stuff, and it's great. It's really probably good to protect yourself from, the prying eyes of big government and big business and big data and all these people that it's probably good to not do that. But also, it's happening.
Yeah.
It's happening, kids. Like, we're getting sucked into some new world.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not, it's coming.
It's how it is, unfortunately.
It's how it is.
Yeah.
It's how it is. Brian Simpson's funny because he was just complaining the other night. He's like, I give Google all my information. I like, go ahead, spy on me. Get it all. And they still fuck it up. They'll still offer me ads. Like, bitch, why did you think I would want to buy that?
That's good.
It's true. It's like, it's not perfect yet.
No.
It's not perfect.
But, yeah, that's just the world we live in, apparently.
Does it mess with any of the things like Onyx Hunt or anything like that? Is there any difference between those?
Every once in a while, you'll get an app that's not developed as well for it. But
okay.
That's about it.
What are examples of an app that's not as good?
God, I haven't used one in a long time, to be honest.
They used to say Instagram, but now apparently it's optimized for it.
Yeah.
I watched a lot of videos and this stuff.
There was a few. Yeah, there was like certain things that would work and then not work. But
when I want to waste time,
yeah,
I watch videos on cell phones that I'll never buy.
Yeah, exactly.
I watch videos on cell phones that are like coming out of China. Like, China has amazing tech, man.
Yeah.
The tech that's coming out of China right now, I mean, have you seen their electric cars that could just drive over bumps and there's zero motion in the car?
No, I haven't
They
seen
have
that.
all these little speed bumps set up, and this car has like balanced champagne glasses on the roof of the car or on the hood of the car, and the car's driving over it, and it's not disturbing them.
Really?
It's insane.
Huh.
It's
That's
insane.
Crazy.
They have crazy technology in their automobiles right now in China. Like, it used to be just a few years ago, like Elon said, their electric cars are kind of bullshit. But now they're like, you look at them, you're like, holy fuck, man. They look like spaceships. They have crazy capability. They can go in circles. Some of them can spin 360 degrees in a circle.
In place?
In place. So, like, if you want to do a U-turn, you don't have to do a U-turn. You just do a spin.
Really?
Your car just spins around.
Wow.
Yeah. Nuts.
Yeah, I guess that's like in a place like China where it's just
probably a good move.
Yeah, good move.
Good move to be able to just spin around in a circle. But they have a video of the car doing it in a parking lot. It's bananas.
Huh.
It's just spinning in a circle.
That's crazy.
And it can go backwards and forwards, and then you can go forward and backward.
Huh. Yeah, it's wild. There's technology that's just beyond what
most people don't even know how good self-driving is right now. Self-driving, like I have a Tesla, and my self-driving, it's insane how good it is. It changes lanes, stops at red lights, starts again when the light turns green.
It's crazy.
It knows where all the cars are around it. You can see the cars in the screen. Like, in the screen, when I'm looking down, you see an image of your car and everything that's around you. It's recognized. This is a pickup truck. This is a delivery truck. This is a Volkswagen Beetle. It's like, this is nuts.
That's crazy.
And it just drives for you. You're supposed to keep your hands on the wheel, but some people fall asleep. But if you keep your hands on the wheel, it'll drive you home. So if you're like, I broke my foot, fuck, what do? I can't. Just get to the car,
and hit
punch in the thing, and it just take you home.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
It's nuts. And that's just the beginning. I think in 20 years, the idea of driving your own car is going to be like riding a horse to work.
Yeah.
Like, what? He drove his own car. Is that even legal? Where are you going to park that horse? That's literally how people are going to look at it. Everyone's going to have an automated car. It's going to cut down on the automobile fatalities by 90%, 100%, and it's going to cut down on the fun by 100%.
Yeah, like that's the part. It's like there is something about driving and responsibility and having your life in your hands and having to pay attention to things.
We're just good for you.
Yeah, we're creating a world where we don't have to pay attention to things.
Yeah.
I notice that, like in what I do, where you bring someone out in the wild and the things that they don't notice is uncanny. like, dude, what do you?
You don't see that mountain line?
Yeah, you're not paying enough attention for the experience that we're having right now, right here.
Yeah, put your phone away.
Yeah,
and people that are not used to just looking around them, 360 degrees. You're on a mountain. There's hills and valleys, and there's water down there. There's things overhead, and it's like. Sensory overload for a person who's used to cities.
Yeah. Well, I just walked. I don't spend much time in large cities, but I just walked from my hotel to breakfast. I looked at the map, saw where it was, walked there, and the amount of people that almost ran into me was insane. like, dude, at what point do we, like, does anybody look up and maneuver? I was just noticing, like, so many people never even looking up.
So many people are looking at their phone while they're walking across the street, which I think
Insane.
is so crazy.
I know, it creeps. Like, I always have to be the, like, protective. Oh, I got little kids now too, so I'm always on the lookout for cars and other things.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I guess they started putting signs in, where is it, Germany or somewhere, where they're on the ground so they can see whether to walk or not walk when they're on the ground. Like, the lights are now on the ground because everybody's looking down.
How many people are developing bad posture because of this? Because
A
it
lot.
has to affect you.
Yeah.
You're doing this all the time.
Hunched over.
Until we got these chairs, I'd get back pain every podcast episode. Because you got to think, you're sitting, which is not good for you. It's not good to sit.
Yeah.
And then you're sitting in like a regular chair that has like a slump
You
back.
lean
and
back.
So you're leaning back and you got a weird posture. At the end of the podcast, I'd be like, center of my back would be stiff. So these kind of chairs is like ergonomic chairs. They force you to have good posture.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah.
Probably speak better too.
Probably.
You
I don't think
You know, like when they just
Maybe.
always have you sit up and
Yeah.
project. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, maybe. I still find myself doing this sometimes, but much more often than I would be, I sit straight.
Yeah.
And I just support it. Because posture is essentially like a static exercise. That's really what it is. You know, you just, because you can't, your body wants to do this, you
Yeah.
know? But so if you have a static, it's
Just
like a
keep it
static
up.
hold that you keep up all day.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you do it, you're better off.
Yeah.
And if you do
You're
this,
less.
you lean forward, you're going to get a neck problem.
You are. But
My daughter used to go to school with this kid, and I was always saying, how does this kid even do this? Because he always had his chin to his chest. He'd be sitting out in front of the school waiting for his mom to pick him up, and this kid had his chin to his chest like this. Like, he was the skinny kid, and his head was like flat. Like the back of his neck, like it was like his head was growing out of the center of his chest. It looked painful. And he's just like, his body's just gotten used to it. He doesn't even bother to hold his fucking head up.
yeah,
He lets his head just drop down on his chest.
that's crazy.
How many kids are going to get, like, is that an issue? It is, right? Like, neck problems
There's gotta
because of
be.
cell phones?
I'm remembering this picture Tom Segura posted one time.
Look at that guy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
There's no head.
That is exactly what that kid looks like that would go to my daughter's school. The poor bastard.
He just
That's
saw
nuts.
This guy today. That's all it says.
Saw this guy. That looks like somebody took the Samsung pen and
Yeah.
like got rid of his head.
Yeah, exactly.
There's another thing the Samsung thing could do. Like if someone's annoying,
Yeah,
and
just
like if we
him out
take
of
a
the
photo, I'm like, I'm tired of Jamie's bullshit. You could just circle Jamie and press that little magic button, and poof, Jamie
Gone.
goes away, and they'll fill you in with the background. How do you like that?
Better pictures. Get everybody out of them.
Yeah.
But you could also doctor photos too. You could do
Oh,
you
yeah.
could make things way bigger than they really are. Like you could take a car and say, "Look at this crazy car I saw." Just put it in the middle of the street, bigger than everything else, and everybody be like, "What the fuck?"
So hard to tell what's real anymore.
It's real hard to tell.
Crazy.
It's almost impossible.
I know that I always get these ads that are like you talking about something that's not
All
you
bullshit.
talking.
Yeah.
It's insane.
So many people send them to me. They go, "Hey man, is this real?" Like, no.
No.
I've never heard of that company. I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're just jacking my voice. And
Right.
it's probably some dude in Nigeria
Yeah,
making
sure.
some money.
Get a free crossbow.
Like,
Watch
here's-
Joe Rogan selling free crossbows.
This came up today because someone was saying that Kanye West is making a limited production Cybertruck. Like he redesigned the outside of the Cybertruck, and it's like $3 million. And so dudes were asking me about it. I'm like, I don't know if that's real. Like I saw that thing too. Like
Yeah.
on I think I saw it on Instagram. I don't know if that's real. It looks fake.
Yeah.
It looks like something I would do and say and get a bunch of clicks.
Yeah, you can always tell because it's like
Yeah,
somebody,
that thing. Is that real? The
never
Yeezy
even heard of it.
Cybertruck?
Doesn't sound real. But I'll look
1.2
into it.
million US dollars. The car is all about straight lines. Like, how? How is that real? How do you even see out of that? A video, okay, scroll up, says a video surface online supposedly reveals the design of Kanye West's limited edition Yeezy Cybertruck. All black, futuristic twist to an already pretty out there and controversial design. I was telling you, my daughters hate the Cybertruck. They hate it.
Why is that?
I don't know, man.
Just not cool, or is it like?
It's so ugly. They hate it. They hate it. I think it's dope.
Yeah, they look cool.
They look more dope though before I saw a bunch of them on the road.
Did I see you try to shoot it with your bow?
Yeah, I did shoot it. Yeah. You know
Didn't-
what? It didn't go through. It bounced right off it. It can take a 45 slug.
Really?
Yeah, but I was thinking like if I had heavier arrows and I had like a single bevel, like an iron will,
Yeah.
or even a double bevel, something with a cut on contact. I used like a regular 3-blade, like it was like a Montec style, you know.
Yep.
And it just destroyed it.
Huh.
It bounced right off it. Yeah, broke the arrow.
Is it like steel paneling or
steel? Yeah, it's thick too.
Really?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like 7,000 pounds, that thing.
Wow.
Yeah, but you can shoot it. Like a lot of people online have shot them with guns, like 9mm, just emptying Uzis into the side of the truck, and it doesn't go through it. It's pretty nuts.
That is crazy.
Well, that's just for fun. He did that for fun. Like that's how crazy that dude is. He's like, let's
wild.
make it bulletproof. It's also arrow proof.
Yeah.
But it made me think, like if I had a 2-blade, so it's just, it cuts better, it gets more penetration, and then if I had a sleeve over the collar, over the end of it, like some protective sort of, and then a heavier arrow,
an outsert with a heavy arrow,
an outsert heavy arrow. And I was thinking if I had my 90-pound bow, like maybe get that to stick in there a little bit. Maybe not though.
I don't know.
I mean, if it's bouncing bullets off of it,
yeah,
it's pretty thick.
It is. I don't know. You try it.
Yeah. Are you still a 2-blade guy now?
I am, yeah.
Yeah, you're all in on that now.
I am, yeah.
And you think you prefer penetration over like a big cut?
I do, yeah. But it's because where I try to edge toward the shoulder more, where like the shoulder blade's there to protect the vitals. Mm-hmm. And so if you accidentally hit that, I'd rather have penetration and still make a clean kill.
With a 2-blade.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the real debate. Mechanicals versus
yeah, and I feel like it's like better to make a good shot than, because like with a mechanical you have to almost intentionally make a bad shot sometimes, but banking on the fact that it's cutting larger. Because you have to stay away from the shoulder, or depending on the angle, like a quartered away shot. Like I've had failures with mechanical ones, so I just stay away from them.
What mechanicals have you tried in the past?
A lot of different ones.
So this is another thing.
Everything.
Like Cam shoots the craziest mechanical. He shoots what's called a carnivore. You
I
ever seen those Grim Reapers?
I haven't. Is it a Grim Reaper one?
Yeah.
I've shot those ones. I like the Grim Reaper ones.
Dude, it's a catapult. You're shooting a catapult at this thing. It's like this big. Like it opens a tunnel in their body cavity.
Right.
They just die. They go down quick. It's crazy to see how fast things go down, because you open up such a hole in them, and he shoots 90 pounds too, so he's got a lot of kinetic energy. And then this big cutting surface of 4 blades, and they're pretty gnarly looking. Like when you see them open, you're like, Jesus. But there's a lot going on there,
right?
And if you do hit the shoulder,
or there's a lot of things that go wrong. Like sometimes the simplest design is the best design. We've been using 2-blade arrow tips for thousands of years.
Yeah,
they work
right here. Check that out. That's a real one.
This was probably was this a fishing? This was probably for fishing. Maybe.
You think so? Because it's so wide or so big?
Yeah. Where did this come from? Texas?
Yeah.
Probably dug out of like a sandy bottom.
Could be. Why would you think that one would be for fishing? Just the width of it? It's too big?
Yeah, I've just seen a lot of these like this that would be the size of it. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So to debilitate the fish, not like a barb type thing.
Yeah, it would. Well, it probably. I could be wrong, but I have some similar to this that I was told were for fishing.
Were they attaching strings to the end of their arrows when they would shoot fish with arrows?
No, I don't think so. I think
really?
they just shoot the fish and then. I've seen guys like
just
still in the Amazon and stuff. They do it. They shoot the fish and then they grab the arrow.
I did see that. Didn't Ranella do that? He went to Guyana.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, and you probably those like long arrow. Probably. I mean, I imagine there'd be whatever species traveling up those more sandy bottoms when they're spawning and stuff like that. So they probably shoot spawning fish a lot, and then have those, and you just grab the arrows with the fish on it.
That makes sense.
Make it a lot easier than just grabbing the fish.
So this would be. Do you think it'd just be too big for deer?
Yeah, I think so.
So
you see a lot of the hunting like big game ones are probably half the size of that. Depends on where you're at though. Like where I'm at, you see a lot of obsidian arrowheads. But I'm not sure down here. That could be. It'd just be. My guess is it'd be hard to get that to fly very good for very much distance.
Right.
So you probably used like a long arrow maybe not even any fletching, shooting at a short distance, which could be, I mean, brush country. Like I'm not real familiar with what's around here, so
there's a lot of brush out
yeah,
there.
but they're probably hunting deer, and they probably in tight quarters too, so it could work. It could work for deer.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing.
I mean, you could definitely use that for deer hunting, but
it's kind of amazing that when they were here, there weren't even any pigs.
Yeah.
And now they're fucking
everywhere,
swarming.
Yeah, I was in a place down in, I guess it'd be West Texas, out at hunting. It was last year, maybe the year before. But this place had a cave in it, and there was like cave paintings and stuff.
Whoa.
But you got to think, like, when they said that cave was probably used for thousands of years. Like, you could see where people had sat, and it was worn smooth, and it was pretty wild. But when those people were here hunting, it was a forest. Now it's a desert. Wow. So you think about it, like,
climate change.
Completely
Maybe
different.
They should have been better with their carbon.
They probably should have. I think they probably stopped climate change by killing all the mammoths, right?
I don't think they killed all the mammoths.
No, they didn't. There's no way.
There's no way. It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't.
Well, it's like there's so many spots on Earth where you go, wait, that used to be a forest. Like the Sahara Desert used to be a rainforest? What?
Yeah.
What?
Right.
And while people were alive? What?
Pretty crazy.
Yeah. Haven't they found, wasn't there like the bones of some kind of whale that they found in the Sahara? Did I remember this correctly? It might have been one of. There are a bunch of these Instagram pages that are just 100% full of shit.
Yeah.
Like 30-foot tall skeleton of a man uncovered in Turkey, and this archaeologist digging it out, and you're like, what? And then you go, oh, this fucking page. So
there was this thing that I did see. It's near where I live in Reno, but outside of Reno.
It's an ocean-going mammal. Wow. Some of the earliest forms of whale. Okay, so this whale, where does it say they found it? Egypt. They found it in Egypt in the desert. What's it called? A basilosaurid? Huh. Wow. Designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in July 2005 for its hundreds of fossils of some of the earliest forms of whale. Wow. The Archaeoceti, a now extinct suborder of whales. The site reveals evidence for the explanation of one of the greatest mysteries of the evolution of whales, the emergence of the whale as an ocean-going mammal from a previous life as a land-based mammal. No other place in the world yields the number, concentration, and quality of such fossils. Wow. That's wild.
That is wild.
Whale fossil. Look how big it is. Look what they found.
Imagine
That's
a
fucking
whale
crazy.
walking around.
Bro, look what they found. Look at that. That's insanity. They found an enormous whale skeleton in the fucking desert. Do you ever see the animal that they said was a whale before it became a whale? It looks like a wolf.
No, I haven't seen that.
I had a photo of it on my Instagram. This is the original. Look at the fucking mouth on that whale. Holy shit, dude. That thing's crazy. They found that thing.
Little feet.
Little feet. They found that thing.
Huh. That's crazy.
Show the animal, Jamie, that used to be a whale, or that a whale became a whale from this, evolved from this animal. It looks like some weird looking dog like wolf thing. No. There's images that they've recreated of what it looked like when it was walking around on the ground. Yeah, that's it. The origin of whales. That thing.
Looks like a giant rat.
It does look like a rat there. That one's actually in the water, but and it's not that big either. How fucking whales get so big? But if you see the images of what it looked like, there's one that I had, Jamie. It's on my Instagram. Because I remember that's what it looked like. Look at that one down there with the flippers and the teeth.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that fucker. Look at that thing. So those suckers walked around on the ground outside.
That's
and
crazy.
Then somehow or another they chose to live in the ocean, allegedly, if you believe in evolution, if you're one of those silly fucks.
That's wild.
If you're one of those silly people doesn't believe the world was created in 6 days. You think that's what happened.
Whales?
That they used to be like a land mammal.
That's
a land
pretty crazy.
mammal, and it somehow or another became a whale.
Yeah, that's wild.
And also, How long did it take before you figured that out?
Yeah, exactly.
How many bones did you guys have to? Who was the
Yeah.
guy who gave, hey, I got a crazy thought?
Yeah, because I'd imagine they probably didn't find it all. Well, it looked like they found it all in one piece, but maybe they just stacked it like that. They probably haven't found a lot intact like that. It's one little piece. Well, what's this giant bone?
Right. I mean, that one looked intact. I hope they weren't bullshitting in that photo. Because
Yeah.
I hope they found it like that,
Like
which is
that.
cool as shit.
Yeah.
You know, that's all laid out there.
You're making me think of this meme I saw recently. Have you seen this?
The skeleton, how aliens would recreate the animal. The animal. Oh, that's funny. Oh, right. A rabbit versus, like, if you look at the skeleton, yeah, right? Yeah, you would think that's some sort of a predatory animal. That's funny.
Like if you
That's
saw
a
an
rabbit.
owl skeleton, you wouldn't know it had giant feathers covering up its feet.
What is that thing in the lower left? What the hell is that
This?
thing? For past that lower left. Yeah. What is that?
Drawn.
So if someone took the bones of modern animals, like it's probably a horse or something like that, and tried to, because our idea of what a dinosaur looks like is like
Yeah.
completely speculative.
Right.
In fact, there's in Montana's they have a science museum, and in the front they have a velociraptor, as they're normally depicted, and then on the other side it's how they think they might actually be, which is covered in feathers.
Just completely.
Yeah,
covered
like a bird, just like a bird. Yeah,
See that?
yeah. See,
I think I've seen pictures.
see if you
of
can
that.
find that from the Montana Science Museum. It might be Museum of Natural History in Montana, whatever it is, but it's in Bozeman.
Yeah.
I saw it when I was there. I was like, oh, look at, oh, imagine. Because we think of them as like reptiles,
Yeah.
like some lizard-looking thing. But they think they at least know some of them. They
Had
now know
feathers.
for sure had feathers because they found fossilized
That's
like
crazy.
images where it shows like where they had feathers.
Giant chickens.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's exactly what it looked. So they think it might have looked like that, which is actually even scarier.
Right.
Right? It's kind of scarier if it's pretty. If it's going to fuck you up and it's beautiful.
Yeah, that I could see that. That looks more realistic in a way.
It does,
looks like
right?
something that we see.
Right. And if birds are really dinosaurs that survived, and they have so many of the characteristics that dinosaurs have, some of them do, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, some of them even have teeth. But if you look at that thing, like, yeah, I could see.
Yeah, it does look like a angry chicken.
Yeah.
It's moving away from raptors specifically, but yeah, these are all just. I think it's the dinosaurs at that museum.
So the theory is that many different dinosaurs, perhaps, even the T-Rex, I've heard speculated that T-Rex. Look at that fucker! Woo, that's crazy. Wow. Yeah, that looks cooler.
Yeah.
They put wigs on him. They give him
Yeah, it looks like he's in his hairband phase. Look,
a singer of a band for sure.
he looks like he could be in Poison.
Yeah. That's funny.
They don't really know. I mean, one day they'll probably figure it out, but right now it's just a lot of guessing. I wonder how they could. Well, one way they could figure it out is to bring one back.
That'd be sweet. I mean, they can pretty much do that with mammoths now, right?
Oh, they're real close.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're actually going to go see the mammoth when it's actually made.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I want to see it. I want to see that thing. Like, what are you going to do with that?
Yeah.
You gonna let them loose?
Because they start with an elephant and then they do the embryo. But then how
I think
many
it's
generations?
An Indian elephant?
Right.
I don't know. It's a
Because
good
then
question.
they'll just keep doing it with the right to get more
Yeah.
mammoth.
Yeah, I guess they'll keep doing it and then develop breeding pairs, and then, they're going to have to separate them to make sure that they have genetic diversity.
Are they going to put them back in the wild?
I think they are. I think they want to do it in Siberia first.
Yeah.
The idea is that it would stop
Global warming.
global warming by somehow or another. I don't know how.
Yeah.
They would eat more of the
Eating more,
permafrost.
spreading the seeds probably with their feces.
Probably turn us into a new ice age, these
Yeah.
fucking idiots.
I think stomping on the ground too.
Yeah.
And
they're going to literally cool the planet to the point where we're fucked.
'Cause I
And then
know
they're going to
that-
be like, we got to kill all the mammoths to bring back global warming.
Exactly. That'll be like the next hunting.
Well, that's what my friend Randall Carlson always says. He said, global warming is a concern. He goes, but global cooling is a real concern. He goes, that's what's really scary. What's really scary is ice ages.
Yeah.
He goes, because there's been moments on Earth, while human beings were alive and while animals lived, there's been moments on Earth where it got so cold that there was so little oxygen on the Earth that we almost didn't make it.
That's crazy.
Like we're all biological life was real close to being extinguished.
Yeah, having been to the Arctic, you realize like you don't want it to be that cold everywhere.
All the time, everywhere.
Oh my gosh.
And all these fucking eggheads that want to spray the skies with particles and cool the sunlight. Slow down.
Yeah.
Why
We
don't
don't
we
know.
just move to the places that used to be cold when it gets a little warmer? Wouldn't that be a better solution than fucking starting another ice age, you dipshits?
Yeah.
Because they don't really know what's going to happen if they do wind up cooling the earth.
But I guess, like,
what if it works too good?
Yeah. Or what, I mean, I suppose like one giant volcano, super volcano could pretty much cool the earth pretty quick too, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, one giant volcano and we're fucked.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody who lives anywhere near Yellowstone, when it blows, is fucked. But even people in England are fucked if Yellowstone goes.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone's fucked. It's going to be nuclear winter
Yep.
over the whole world.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
All plants are going to die. People turn to cannibals. And that happened. They got down to the Toba, right? That's it. The Toba volcano in Indonesia. There was a super volcano that blew. They think it got down to, I forget the number of thousands of people, but thousands of people left on Earth. And they trace that back to this particular super volcano explosion that I think was 70,000 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, 70,000 years ago. Toba eruption been associated with a genetic bottleneck in human evolution about 70,000 years ago. It's hypothesized that the eruption resulted in a severe reduction in the size of the total human population due to the effects of the eruption and on the global climate. According to the genetic bottleneck theory, between 50,000 and 100,000 years ago, human populations decreased by 3,000 to 10,000, decreased to 3,000 to 10,000 surviving individuals. So there was as little as 3,000. That's the low number of humans on Earth because of this eruption. So literally like a good-sized theater where like I would do a show.
That's crazy.
3,000 people. Those are the people that live. That's it. For the
We-
whole Earth.
Yeah, because we aren't super
You can't assume
adapted to
those-
the cold, really.
All 3,000 can be like, it's not split 50-50 male to female. And
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who knows? I mean,
Breeding.
probably mostly men survived. It's supported by some genetic evidence suggesting that modern humans are descended from a very small population of between 1,000 and 10,000 breeding pairs that existed about 70,000 years ago. That is fucking kooky. So there was a 10-year volcanic winter triggered by the eruption. Could have largely destroyed the food sources of humans and caused severe reduction in population sizes. These environmental changes may have generated population bottlenecks in many species, including hominids. This in turn may have accelerated differentiation from within the smaller human population. Therefore, the genetic differences among modern humans may represent changes within the last 70,000 years rather than the gradual differentiation over hundreds of thousands of years. Wow. Imagine if like only the dummies lived and we had to start from scratch.
Yeah.
No wheel, no nothing.
Nothing.
No flint tools.
Just
Morons.
That's-
Just the dumbest of fucking humans.
statistically, that's what will happen.
Yeah, well, that's probably what does happen to human populations. Is probably some sort of a collapse and then a rebuild, but not everywhere. I think there's always going to be a part that gets spared, except super volcanoes. It seems that and asteroid impacts. Those are biggies.
Yep.
You know, that's start from scratch and roaches rule.
Right.
You know, then you're fucked.
Yeah.
Which is also on the table. That's on the menu.
Roaches?
No, asteroids.
Oh,
but
yeah.
roaches too.
Yeah.
Have you ever eaten a cicada?
No, I haven't had. I've had grasshoppers and cave crickets.
Callahan was he was giving out recipes
For
and how to
cicadas?
cook them. Yeah, he was telling you how to bake them. In like, you know, his podcast.
Yeah.
He was Cal's Corner. Is
Yep.
that what it is? Cal's Weekend Review.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
So he was telling you how to like you cook them, you bake them in like an oven. You set the temperature for like whatever it is, 250 degrees, whatever.
Then you like make a flour out of them,
You
or
like
what?
put teriyaki sauce on them,
Oh.
season them, and you eat them.
Okay. Well,
Apparently, like
I just
they're
get better
good.
at elk hunting, I guess.
But if you have so many cicadas, don't you want to try them?
I guess.
Like there's places that have these extreme this year, right? Or having
Yeah.
extreme blooms, right?
We have where I live, big Mormon crickets that come through, and they just travel
Locusts.
through. They're wild.
Wow.
They make the road all slippery. They'll put out, it's like ice on the road. Cars go off the road. 'Cause
Really?
Yeah, so they get squashed, but they start to eat. They eat the dead ones. So they pile onto the dead ones, and they create these like
Sludge?
Yeah, and then it gets thicker and thicker, and it's just completely slick. Like the roads get like ice.
Do they plow?
I don't know. I don't think the plowing would work.
Whoa.
Yeah,
That's real?
I guess they do plow 'em, apparently.
They plowed them on an Idaho highway. Dude,
Yeah.
wow, that's crazy. Can you
Yeah.
show a video of that?
There's a
Look, those are all crickets?
oh yeah,
Dude, that's insane.
and they're disgusting because they'll go.
That's insane.
Uh,
So they're just smashing them and then they're scooping them
Plowing
off.
them.
Look how they're scooping them
Yeah.
off to the side. Oh my God.
yeah,
Just like snow.
I had this. I was hunting
Wow.
last year, and there was just a bunch of them everywhere. And there's this old water trough that had, I guess, like a cattle water trough out in the abandoned. And somehow some got in there, must have died, and then the other ones keep piling in. It was like probably, I don't know, a foot or two deep of just dead crickets, with crickets just piling into it. And the smell was so bad. Like, you'll never forget that smell. They're gnarly. But
That's the thing that people keep saying humans
Yeah.
are going to have to start eating is crickets.
yeah, they
Cricket protein.
there was a small town in like rural Nevada that had the crickets come in. So they just decided, I don't know, they put a bunch of speakers down and would blast like hard rock music, and it apparently kept the crickets away from the town.
That makes sense.
The noise, yeah.
It's a long way.
Yeah, there was a certain band that they figured stopped the crickets the
I wonder what
most.
the band is.
I
Should find out what
think
the
it was
band is.
Metallica or something.
Dum, doo, 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 doo. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, it's just invading.
That's amazing. God,
Yeah.
I'd never even heard of this. Mormon crickets. Now they call them Mormons because they fuck so much?
I have no.
Because they make
clue.
so many
Yeah.
of them?
Yeah,
They have so many
maybe.
kids?
Yeah, I have
Why do
no
they call them
clue.
Mormon crickets?
I don't know.
So is this? I've never even heard of these things before. Have you heard of this, Jamie? That is nuts.
Yeah, I think they also call them maybe potato crickets or something like that as well.
Wow.
But yeah, they're
And
pretty
is
wild.
this a once a year thing or
yeah,
once?
once a year, and then it like there'll be like a big hatch. I think maybe because of the winter last year, there was just millions of them.
Wow.
Led Zeppelin and the Rolling
Led
Stones.
Zeppelin, there you go. That's it. That's the one that worked.
Wow. Downtown, down.
Yeah, so in the apocalypse, know that you can just keep these guys from eating your crops with some.
With some heavy metal music?
Yeah.
Yeah, can you though?
I don't know.
It seems like a bunch of them are going to get through anyway. That's fucking insane.
Yeah,
and then
like
they eat each other?
Yeah, because like you walk through there and you step, and then you step on them, and they create these piles of just eating each other, eating each other, eating
Bro,
each
this
other.
is bananas. How do you stay there? I guess you have to.
Sleeping on the ground.
Oh, camping?
Yeah,
Oh
it's
my
terrible.
God. Have you had that happen?
Yeah. It's not fun.
How'd you sleep? Did they get in your sleeping bag?
No, I zipped it up.
Bro, what does that sound like while you're sleeping?
Yeah.
I was hoping it was going to play cricket sounds, but there's music.
What does it sound like when you're sleeping?
Just crickets crawling. I mean, it's not.
Just constant crawling.
Yeah,
like
or
loud.
you feel, then they kind of like hop. You hear like the thunks of them hitting the
Hitting the
thing.
tent?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, you got to wipe the guts off your boots. Look at that. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not all the time, but it is like generally late summer.
I know we've covered this before, but what exactly happens to grasshoppers if they become locusts? There's something that has to do with the population, the numbers, and the time of year where grasshopper becomes locust and they just fill the air and fucking
Just swarm
destroy
up.
everything, destroy everybody's crops.
Yeah.
Everything. Like, people starve to death
Yeah.
because of locust infestations.
Well, I think, yeah, even something like that, you see the plants, they just come, they'll be on the plants and just, it's like a tree covered in the bugs, and they're just constantly eating it. And then I guess they lay the eggs under the ground and then die, and then they emerge again. It's wild.
If you lived in like the 1800s and you're like barely getting by growing corn,
And then those guys come by.
that's how
Bad
people
day.
died, man.
Yep.
I mean, wasn't that like a biblical threat, like a curse? The
just
curse you with
locusts.
locusts.
Yeah.
Wasn't that like a thing that people
Yeah.
would do back in the day?
Like almost
A
like
plague
a
of
plague.
locusts. Yeah.
Just come and eat all your food.
What causes grasshoppers to become locusts?
I'm looking at so all locusts are grasshoppers. Not all grasshoppers are locusts. There's 3 different kinds specifically that turn into that. Big difference, grasshoppers are solitary, locust swarm, but I'm not seeing what causes it.
The thing that I had read was that it was a particular type of grasshopper when there's a certain population density. It causes some morphogenic change in the animal.
And then they just move together.
Yeah.
Because it is weird, like those
This one says
those Mormon crickets, they do that where they move in a certain direction and they're all moving together. It's really weird.
Bizarre.
they change when they're crowded or isolated.
Yeah, there's something about the amount of them. Like if they get a bunch of them together, it's like a gang mentality, you know, like when you have riots and people storm on the streets and it's like a mob mentality.
And they just keep going and adding. Yeah,
I guess that happens with them too, but they have changes in their actual physiology.
Yeah, there's a video explaining it here, but
Yeah. The strange thing that turns grasshoppers into locusts. It's on YouTube. Bizarre Beasts. That fellow looks like he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
But that's it's weird when animals can change. Like it's for some reason bugs I can kind of deal with it, you know. But like pigs, the wild pig thing is one of the craziest things of all time. That if you let a domestic pig loose, their snout lengthens, their fur grows, and they start growing these tusks.
Yeah.
And it happens pretty quick.
Yeah. Yeah, they just go feral, and it's the way that they can survive better because they aren't getting fed all the time. So there's physiological changes because they have to root around. They have to, you know.
But there's no other animal. If you let a dog go, a dog's just going to be a dog. Like we tried to figure that out yesterday. We were joking around. Like how long would it take before a dog becomes a wolf?
Yeah, I don't know.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if humans turned wolves into dogs, how many generations of wild dogs would it take before a wolf emerged?
I don't know. I have seen a pack of wild dogs in an area where there are wolves. And those wild dogs, like, they get pretty vicious and pretty efficient pretty fast.
Oh, I'm sure.
They probably would, they could probably crossbreed with the wolves. I don't know.
Oh, they definitely could. There's a lot of wolf hybrids.
Yeah.
Like people buy wolf hybrids all the time.
That's what I wonder, though, if they would actually survive, you know, the kind of the challenge to breed. But if the pack of feral dogs is large enough, they could probably.
I wonder if it's a cycle that just would happen automatically if given enough time. Like if you could reproduce the cycle of turning a wolf into a dog, if you just let the dogs out and there would be no more dogs and just be all wolves, and then civilization reemerges and we turn wolves into dogs again.
Yeah.
I wonder.
Go.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, you can't
experiment.
But if you take a wild pig and you put it in a pen, that fucker's wild forever.
Yeah.
Like you have a wild boar. It's not going to its snout's not going to shrink, right?
No.
It's not going to turn pink again and look
fun
cute.
fact,
Okay.
in the early colonial times, that's why they would clip their ears in certain patterns. It would cause it, and that's where the word earmark came from.
Whoa.
So because they would be domestic and running around, they would need to know which ones were theirs, I guess.
Whoa.
And that was the
Pigs
only
were
way.
allowed to live a basically feral existence, but they were still what we'd recognize as domestic swine. The practice of free-ranging pigs may still exist in some areas, but I think it largely died out during the 20th century. However, as a result, just about every part of North America can support feral pigs has them. However, in California, a landowner in the 1920s imported European wild boar for hunting. I think that landowner was William Randolph Hearst. I'm pretty sure.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that cocksucker. That's the reason why weed's illegal to this day, that piece of shit. These animals hybridize with feral pigs, producing the offspring with some of the appearance and characteristics of wild boar. That genetic line has been spreading for 95 years or so, and it's been quite successful. Yeah, there's so many of them in California, man. It's nuts. They have them in San Jose, like in people's yards. Like they're like people in suburbs, like they'll wake up and there's fucking wild pigs knocking over dumpsters and rooting in their garbage. Yeah, rooting in their garden, tearing their lawns apart, destroying they could destroy giant chunks of like turf, golf course turf. They just go right through it.
Yep, and just root it up and going for worms and other stuff, and they smell what's underneath the grass and go for it.
Like if you were just living wild, and, you know, if the world goes to shit, they're the best animal to have around because you are insured. There's going to be a high population if you don't have predators.
Sure. Yeah.
Even if you have predators.
There's like feral goats. Goats multiply super fast. Can live in like really harsh environments.
That's probably why people brought them to Hawaii, right?
Yep. Yeah, Hawaii. I mean, New Zealand, like a lot of places, and they just flourish because they can go in everything from jungles to deserts.
Do you smoke cigars?
No, but go for it.
When people do bring animals into a place, like we were talking about Adam Greentree today, and he lives in Australia where they kill cats.
Yeah.
Because they have so many wild cats that wild cats have killed everything. Wild domestic cats, regular cats, killed all the ground nesting birds. They've just decimated populations.
Reptiles.
Yeah, they just fuck everything up. So they hunt them over there. So if you ever seen an Australian hunting magazine?
Oh yeah, it's like they got a guy with a cat on the front.
Oh, look at a dead cat.
Look at this big tabby.
I got a nice cat, mate. You're like, whoa.
Yeah.
It's just every time humans bring an animal into an area, almost definitely, especially if it's a predator, they're going to fuck everything up.
Yeah, and most of the time they bring it in to control a problem with the rats and the
make a
mice.
bigger
And it's
problem.
like, well, they're elusive. They're going to definitely kill the ground nesting birds that are way easier to hunt and kill.
Yeah, they don't know their job.
No.
It's so funny that people didn't know. I mean, I guess they just didn't know. They probably had shitty books.
Yeah.
They did all this stuff in the like New Zealand. When did they start doing that?
Oh, bringing animals over?
Yeah. What year was that?
Yeah, the 18-something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's
Let's bring animals over with no predators.
Yeah.
What could go wrong?
Right. And they just exploding population. But it really shows you, too, like when there's predators on the landscape, they definitely take a toll on the prey species.
Oh, for sure.
For sure.
Like reintroduction of wolves.
Yeah.
And now they're doing it in Colorado. Like, good idea, guys.
Yeah.
Bring them everywhere. They're talking about bringing grizzly bears to the Cascades.
I saw that.
Do you guys not know what a grizzly
No.
bear is? Maybe
Well,
you should
I mean,
go speak to them about your experience on Fog
I'll
Neck
tell
Island.
you, like the thing about grizzly bears is it's generally people that don't live in those areas making the decisions for the people that do. If you think about it, like in the places where you're going to encounter a bear, there's not that many people that live there. But when the actual number of people that get attacked and killed might be insignificant in the whole population, but in those areas, it's pretty significant.
Yeah.
It'd be like, what if we released, I don't know, Kodiak brown bears? Well, there was brown bears in California that's on their flag, right? Like coastal, large, giant brown bears.
Yeah.
I mean, a couple of those running through San Francisco probably clean up the street pretty quick.
Oh, yeah. You got a homeless problem? I got a solution.
Yeah, there you go. Pretty wild.
Let's reintroduce. We're a bunch of colonizers. We've stolen this land from bears.
Right.
Bring them back.
Yeah,
Bring the amazing bears back. I miss them.
Yeah. And you look at like the whole of Canada where there's nobody living, and there's a lot of brown bears, grizzly bears, all the way through Alaska into the Arctic. There's a lot of those bears around in places where there aren't people. And
Right, but the problem with Canada is the population centers like Vancouver don't have bears.
Right.
And so they're the ones who vote.
Right.
And so they voted to make bear hunting, at least brown bear hunting, illegal in BC.
Yeah.
And the guy just got jacked yesterday by a brown bear in BC.
Yeah, it becomes more and more popular because we have more people in their territory, and then we're going to expand their range. But there's a reason that I love large bears. Like it's awesome to see them. It's an incredible experience, but there's certain places where they can be, and there's certain places where they probably shouldn't be. There's a reason that we got rid of them in a lot of places because, like, they kill and eat people.
Yeah.
And imagine if it's like, percentage-wise, I don't know, it's the amount of people that get attacked and killed by bears is going up for sure. And it might be a small percentage, but okay, if you took it per capita, the people that are in their turf, right? Let's say, I don't even know if it's a 0.001%. Well, what would that be of New York City, right? And if you had some monster that came and killed 1,000 people a year, you'd be like, let's get rid of this fucking monster.
Which is what they did.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what they did. I mean, Lebec, California is named for the place where the last person in California was killed by a grizzly bear.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, this guy got fucking... And then they said, hey, let's kill them all.
Yeah.
And then we're like, let's bring them back. I miss the monsters.
Yeah. Which, there are places where it's like, it's awesome to see them and they're there and we should have them there.
Yeah.
But I don't think that we should have them everywhere because,
No.
and especially with like our populations now, they don't realize what they're doing in those places.
Do you know people are releasing wolves in California, like sketchy people, like sketchy
Like catching,
activists?
releasing wolves.
Yeah, there was one outside of Bakersfield. We played a video of it on this podcast. My friend who lives up there found it. He saw this. He filmed this. He was driving on the highway, And they're like, I think that's a fucking wolf. And they
Really?
pulled over and they zoomed in on this wolf. Hold on a second, I'll find it.
Yeah, I've heard of people. I guess there's collared wolves going from Oregon and other places into California.
But this is not that.
This is just like releasing wolves in Southern California.
Yeah, some dipshit thought it would be cute to let a wolf go. And so, I'll find it. I've got the video in here if you just give me a second.
Yeah.
I know he sent it to me. So I was hanging out with him and I was like, well, how big was it? And he sent me this video. I was like, yo, that's a wolf. And this thing was like 5 miles from an In-N-Out.
Was it like a wild wolf, or was it just like a wolf dog that they turned loose?
No, it's a wolf. It's
Really?
a wild wolf. Yeah, God damn it, I can't find it.
Huh.
I know he sent it to me. He might have got a new phone number. I might have his old phone number in my book and not have that image saved in our little text message exchange. Fuck.
He probably didn't have an iPhone. He probably hadn't, so you don't get the bubble saving.
Yeah. All right, I give up. I got it. I know we played it on the podcast before, but it is a bizarre video because you watch the video, you're like, wow, that's a big wolf, and it's running near this cow, and then someone comes along and chases it away, and it runs off. But it's a wolf.
Really?
But somebody just and then we showed a video yesterday of El Cerritos, California, where a wolf's just running down the street, like a big-ass wolf.
Huh.
That was apparently a year ago that was on TikTok.
Last year.
See if you can find that again.
I found the video of us playing it before. Hold on.
Oh, beautiful.
Let me find a better version of this video.
Last year I was in New Mexico, and was a Mexican wolf. They're different than like the gray wolves or the further north wolves. Smaller than a timber wolf. They look kind of like a shaggy wolf. They're like,
Really?
yeah, they're a lot smaller. They're like a large coyote, but we saw a lot of them.
Really?
Yeah, we saw a pack of them, and the same day that we saw, there's like 4 to 6 of them. A friend of mine, I was with Kip, and they saw 6 others somewhere else. So they're like, they say the population is not that large, but that's a substantial portion of the population that they say they are. So, and then
how much of a survey are they doing?
And then at camp we heard, which would be completely different ones than the ones that we were seeing, because I was like 30 miles away from where I was.
And you
camping.
heard them howling?
Yeah. So you're like, there's a lot of them in here. I think their populations grow a lot faster than
keeping track
Yeah.
of, I'm sure. I mean, how much money are they spending in Mexico to give a good audit of the wolf population?
Yeah, and this is in New Mexico, which
Mexico.
Yeah, northern New Mexico, or no, southern New Mexico. Sorry.
And so they're coming from Mexico?
No, they were released. They're just called the Mexican wolf. It's like it's a separate species of wolf.
Oh, it's not a red wolf?
No, a red wolf's also a separate species. So I think the red wolf's the one that's a lot more rare, but the Mexican wolf is the one that they have in New Mexico.
How big is the Mexican wolf? Like 50 pounds?
Yeah, it'd be like, probably something like that. That's
Found it.
You found
oh
a
yeah,
video?
that is
Okay.
a wolf. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is my friend.
Damn it! It just did this thing again.
Oh,
I found out what happened on why this is breaking. Something's wrong with the Mac computers and playing video. Apparently, I have to update my computer.
but that's okay.
Just
Look at that. Look at
Yeah.
that image. That is a wolf.
Yeah,
And that thing was outside of Bakersfield, bro.
that's crazy.
Bakersfield. You know the In-N-Out that's
Yeah.
down on the 10? Yeah. Or the 5? Is that what the 5? What highway is
Yeah,
it?
5.
Yeah, the 5.
Yeah.
That's a
Right
couple
there.
miles away from that.
Huh. Wild.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Out in the field.
Yeah.
And he saw it driving, and he's like, hold on. Is that a fucking wolf?
Just
So
like that's pretty good video.
there's people that run some of these wolf, I don't know
Like
what you want to call them.
rehabilitation kind of places?
These wolf organizations.
Yeah.
That their stated goal is to reintroduce wolves so that we will no longer need to hunt. Because
Right.
the wolves will take care of the wild animals. They'll keep the population in check. Totally not taking into account pets, kids, Little Red Riding Hood,
No.
all that shit. The reason why we were scared of wolves in the first place, they think the wolves are just going to stick to deer.
Yeah.
No, they're going to take out hikers, bird watchers. Good luck.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But also too, I mean, when you think about wolves being across the United States, we had a giant Great Plains full of bison, millions of bison.
Yeah.
Like they had a lot more food sources and a lot more availability to preferred food sources. It's a different world. We don't have that.
Yeah, and to bring them into this world now is just so goofy.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how they got away with it in Colorado. Like, all those ranchers are going to get fucked. They're
Yeah.
gonna get fucked.
Well, I mean, I don't know how much is speculation, but I'm pretty sure this is a fact that they took wolves that were depredating like cattle and then released them in Colorado. And guess what they're doing? Killing cattle.
Weird.
Did you see? Did you see they found one dead and it was killed by a mountain lion?
Really?
Yeah. So this was kind of an interesting thing. Well, in my area in Montana, they did a huge study on wolves because everyone's like the wolves are killing all the elk, which is sort of true because the elk mortalities went up. But what they found is the mountain lions were actually killing more elk, and the wolves were pushing off.
They were stealing
the mountain
it.
lions. So yeah, mountain
Yeah.
lion. And I've actually witnessed wolves pushing a mountain lion off a kill. So the mountain lions are just a mountain lion is actually probably one of the most efficient predators out there, more efficient than a wolf, I would say. And so the mountain lions can kill pretty much whenever they want. They're just so good at it. So mountain lion would kill. They'd start to eat. The wolves would come in, run them off, claim the kill. And then what's that make the mountain lion do? Kill again. So they're just using these mountain lions to do their killing for them.
Wow.
Right. So they run off the mountain lion. So my speculation is it's been proven that this collared one that they just released in Colorado is killed by a mountain lion. And it's like that mountain lion just didn't want to take shit from these wolves. Like, haven't seen you. You aren't taking my kill. Killed the wolf.
Right. Not only that, but they have a small number because they only released a handful of them.
Yeah.
So he might have been on his own.
Yeah. Who knows?
He got a little cocky with the
Yeah. He's
mountain
like, oh,
lion.
I'll chase you off. And
Yeah.
mountain lions are fairly timid when they run. They go off. They get up in a tree and and then they'll go kill again. But in this particular instance, the mountain lion just killed the wolf.
He had enough.
Yeah. And it's like one of the
Enough.
yeah. So
Gray
one
wolf
of these
found dead in Colorado, like you killed by a mountain lion. Look at these wolves that they let loose, man. Fucking, they're amazing. Look, I'm glad they exist, but I feel like reintroducing them is opening up a can of worms that's akin to releasing cats in Australia. I know they came from that place, but they haven't been in that place in a long fucking time, in 100 years.
And the world's so much different now. Like we
Yeah.
have, you can't just go back to the way things were because it just isn't possible. I mean, there's a lot of invasive plants that have taken over forage for undulants, and there's a lot of just so much that's changed road systems that were never carved there. That I mean, wolves can travel a lot faster on roads and cover more country and be more efficient at killing. So
Yeah, and then there's going to be massive resistance to reducing their population, which there is already.
Right.
It's a mess. You opened up a crazy can of worms because you don't understand wolves. The thing is, it's like these people that want to make these decisions to reintroduce these things, they're essentially activists. They have this idea in their mind, this utopian view of nature being played out, but they're not taking into account like what these things actually are. You just have this like beautiful idealized version of what a wolf or a grizzly bear is. Well, you're releasing predators.
Yeah. And
around
actually,
people.
The other thing too is like, Colorado, the wolves that they released there were not the type of wolves that were in Colorado. It was more of a prairie wolf, which is more similar to that Mexican wolf, which is a lot smaller wolf than the ones from way far north. The ones that are north, as you go further north, species get larger.
Yeah.
And it's like they're taking these that weren't even in that landscape ever and kind of filling a gap with them.
Well, that's what they did in Montana. They took them from Canada.
Yeah. And
They took these Alberta wolves, these
they're
fucking
these giant
monsters.
beasts of a wolf, which they need more food. They're more efficient at killing certain species. Like our moose populations have just suffered. You want to protect something, maybe protect the moose, because there's plenty of wolves in North America. There's not that many Shiras moose, which is really hurting in areas where they've reintroduced wolves because they just weren't used to that kind of, that kind of predator that time of year.
Also, they don't have packs of moose.
Right. No, very
They're
solitary.
very
They
solitary.
drop a calf. Now the cow moose will protect that calf, but
As best she can.
As best she can. Yeah, it's not.
Well, that's the reason why cow moose are so dangerous to be around.
Right.
It's because of wolves. Because like a deer is not going to really stomp people.
Yeah.
It's very rare that a deer goes after people. A moose will come for you.
Yeah.
They will run at you.
Especially if you got like a dog or something, because that triggers that. Well, people on running that Iditarod, have to like kill a moose to protect themselves and the dogs because they'll come and charge the dogs. Yeah, this year, I think the guy that won it had to kill a moose. He got time penalized because he didn't gut the moose well enough, but still won, I guess.
He
But
got
that's happened
time penalized because he didn't gut the moose well enough?
Yeah, so if you have to like protect yourself in a life or death situation, like whether it's a bear, a moose, doesn't matter. You still have to follow all the laws, and that law is like you have to salvage things. So he didn't gut it very well, I guess. Like he was probably in a hurry, just did it real fast, and he
overcame killing a moose and receiving a time penalty. When imagine a fucking game you're in where there's a time penalty when you kill a moose.
Yeah, exactly. A moose that's trying to kill you and your dogs.
Wow.
It's a pretty wild deal, actually.
That is insane.
Yeah.
So you have to gut it, but do you have to salvage the meat?
No, I think that they can leave. So for this race, they can leave the meat there, but they have to, like, I don't know whether they mark it with a GPS or something. So then somebody does come in and salvage the meat, yes.
Wow. His dog, Falu, was injured before CV shot and killed the moose with a handgun. Race rules require any big game animal killed in defense of life or property to be gutted before the musher moves on. He told officials he gutted the moose the best he could. However, he was ultimately giving a 2-hour penalty because he only spent 10 minutes gutting the moose. Well, I mean, what is he, as best as he can? Like, what does that mean?
I don't know.
Either you gut a moose or you don't gut a moose.
Right. So maybe he just opened it up. I have no
Right.
clue,
He might have just like opened the guts.
Tried to get at it and like, okay, I'm getting. But imagine not being prepared for that and like being covered in blood when it's 50 below or whatever.
Also, like, what if your knife is not sharp and you go through the first hide? It's going to dull the shit out of that thing. And then you're like, sawing at it with a bullshit dull knife, trying to cut open this moose, and then trying to cut all the organs out with that same bullshit dull knife. You don't have a knife sharpener.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know the circumstances, but yeah, I can imagine it being a shit show.
Like, I could see a moose being so, like, you tell me, a moose is so big, you might have to sharpen your knife if you're dressing a moose.
Yeah. Yeah, or
you might have, like, as you're cutting it, you might have to resharpen your knife, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, especially if you're skinning it and all that, depends on how sharp type of knife you have and all that. But he probably just had like my guess is like a small knife that, you know, you'd use
bullshit
Havalon. Yeah, cut
those
things
little fucking tiny razor blade knives.
Yeah, I don't know.
Fuck, that's crazy. A 2-hour time limit. That seems rude.
Yeah. Still won, though. That's pretty good.
It is pretty good. But what a crazy game you're playing.
Yeah.
Where there's time penalties built in for not gutting
a moose. Right.
I know you went to Greenland, too.
Yep.
I saw those videos. Was that when you were still hunting with a mouth tab?
It was, yeah. I was hunting with a mouth tab.
Greenland looks amazing.
Yeah, that place is wild. I didn't realize like that. You see that ice, you see pictures of it. It's all ice. Well, around the ocean certain times of year, it's pretty green because it's not winter yet. But that ice sheet is massive. It looks like this giant mountain. I mean, it climbs some elevation. You don't really realize it. You kind of think
it's all just
flat.
ice.
Yeah, just massive ice sheet.
Wow.
It's pretty wild.
Do people walk on those? Like, you have to be careful. You don't fall
they
through,
do.
Right?
Like, while we were there, we'd run into people that were doing expeditions and other things. That was when we were in the Arctic. Some people were doing like a town-to-town expedition just on skis, and they left. And I'm like looking at it like, man, they didn't look like they had enough gear for their expedition. And when we came back in, one of the people was getting care flighted out because they got frostbite and lost a finger. You imagine like 6-7 days into a 30-day trek and you're already one finger down.
Were they not geared up with like insulated outerwear?
I don't know.
Like,
yeah, must have. Just not paying attention. Like you get worked up, right? You're working real hard and your body's hot. You take your gloves off and you don't feel cold, and then probably realize, like, okay, it just happens so fast, like uncovered hands.
Now, when you were in the Arctic Circle, like, what is the temperature where you're at?
Oh, it was like a warm spell when we got there. It was pretty warm. It was like 20 below. But like I talked to some guys that were there the week before, and it was like 60 below.
And what country is that officially?
Canada.
It's Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so 60, like, what's a really rough day up there?
I would think in that 60 below with wind chill factor kind of thing. Heavy winds, like the breeze. You get a little bit of breeze and that temperature changes fast. Real fast. God. When it's calm, you go, oh, this isn't that bad. And then when that wind starts to blow, it just drops. It's just so cold.
And you're bow hunting.
Yeah.
Which is so crazy.
Yeah.
To be bow hunting in a place where nothing stops the wind.
Yeah. But when it's really windy, I think like we went out and we didn't have bad wind. So when it does come up, it's kind of one of those things that just stops everything really, because you can't see where you're going, can't really navigate well, so you just kind of hang out and wait for the wind to die down.
Wow.
But,
How close were you when you made your shot?
Oh, really close, like 25, 30 yards.
Was it windy then?
No, it was slightly windy. It wasn't bad.
Now, muskox have these crazy coats.
Yeah.
Right? How thick is that stuff? There's a muskox. Wow, look how awesome that thing is.
Yeah.
That looks right out of Star Wars.
It does, doesn't it?
Look at those
Pretty
horns.
crazy.
That's nuts.
Yeah. Yeah. But, yeah, Greenland, that whole area, that whole Arctic region's pretty cool.
What did you do with the cape?
I skinned it out and brought it back. It's so warm.
Are you going to use it as a blanket or something?
I don't know, maybe.
It seems like it'd be the dopest
Yeah,
blanket of all time.
it would.
You know?
Yeah, you just like line your, I don't know, put it on your bed as a mattress thing or
Yeah,
camping.
definitely.
Yeah.
People come over your house, like, check
Yeah.
out the bedspread, son.
Yeah. Muskox.
I got that on top of the world.
Yeah, pretty wild.
Literally on top of the
Yeah.
world. Ooh.
Yeah.
So Greenland, not that harsh. Not as harsh.
Well, it was different times of year because I think
What time were you there?
I was there in September, so it was the beginning of kind of that winter season.
It looked
Or I might have even been August. It was probably August.
it looked tolerable.
Yeah, I mean, summertime, that's like anywhere, like even as far north in Alaska, the Arctic. Summer is amazing. Sunlight 24 hours a day. It's pretty mild temperatures. There's a lot of bugs, but a lot of bugs. Mosquitoes and
Yeah,
gnats
they
and all
go
that.
hard too.
Oh, yeah. they just
Alaska
feast.
mosquitoes, no, they don't have much time.
They just go for it. But like good summer fishing, water's open, all that kind of stuff. And then it just turns to ice. And it's like winter time through this March, April, May. That whole time frame's still winter. And then it gets back into summer.
And so when you were up there, when you're trying to locate caribou, do you go to these corridors where caribou naturally sort of gravitate towards? Or do you know where they're going to be going?
No, I mean, it depends where you're at. There we were able to travel by boat, and we could look for them from the boat and then go up and hike. Like in places in Alaska, there's places where they kind of live in the mountains. And when it's that, they kind of have just certain areas and they move around in the mountains, but they might not migrate like other herds do. And then there's migration herds. And they do migrate and they travel. And then it's weird because not weird, but they tend to travel into the wind. So whichever direction the wind's going, that kind of chooses the direction that the caribou start to move. But
So
they have
can
an area
smell
that they,
threats
yeah,
in front of them?
exactly, yeah.
And so when you were there with that dude, Pedro, how do you say his last name?
Pedro,
Ampuero?
Ampuero.
Ampuero?
Yeah.
That dude's cool.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
He's got a great YouTube channel.
yeah.
His YouTube channel, all his different adventures are amazing.
Yep. Yeah, he's a great bow hunter. Awesome guy. Fun to hang out with.
I watched one recently where I was like, what? He went elk hunting in Mongolia.
Yep.
I was like, what?
Yeah, the
There's-
Altai.
Elk in Mongolia?
Yeah.
And like I thought of Mongolia as being like these steppes, like the flat plains.
Oh, no, there's mountains and...
Yeah. Crazy. I mean, it was like he might as well have been in Utah.
Yeah. There's elk.
Yeah, here it
Yeah,
is.
Mongolia has elk. Kazakhstan has elk.
Hunting out of a yurt. It's really crazy.
Yeah.
Very, very cool
That
videos,
is one
though.
place that I would like to go, Mongolia, just to see. It looks awesome.
Pedro Ampuero Hunting Adventures is the YouTube channel. And,
Yeah.
I mean, he does an amazing job of just, like, really good editing. It makes it interesting. They're, like, documentary-style videos of all these different places he goes. But that guy goes all over the world.
Yeah, he does. Some cool places.
Very cool places. It's just... It's so interesting to see someone, and also when he's there, they're like, "Why do you have a bow?" Like, just the elk's right there. Use a rifle. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, a lot of places in Asia don't understand bow hunting. It's more just like they don't see it probably very often.
Well, they want meat,
yeah,
right?
It's like let's just
The
be
best way to
efficient.
get meat is a rifle. What are you,
right.
retarded? Like, that thing's
Exactly.
200 yards away. Why sneak up?
Yeah,
just
be done
get
right
prone.
here.
Let's
Yeah.
fucking get this over with.
But to be honest, a lot of the guns that they have over there are not very accurate.
Are you allowed to bring your own rifle?
Yeah, you are in a lot of places. It's a major pain though.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, a lot of
Paperwork?
yeah, a lot of paperwork, a lot of check-ins, a lot of military stops, that are a lot of it's like not a fun experience.
So for the most part, when you go to a hunt like that, you would let them provide the rifle?
Some people would, yeah. I don't know if I would. It's like,
yeah.
it was Soviet
Could you bring your
era
own sights? Could you like bring over
AR
a
and
vortex sight and?
AKs.
Are they hunting with
that's what
AKs over there?
yeah, they
Really?
just got, like,
Kalashnikovs?
yeah, they're just like leftover
Some shit
stuff.
they left over for the
Yeah,
Taliban.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
Exactly what it is.
How many times have you hunted in Asia?
I've only been over there once.
What was it for?
Sheep
Which kind of sheep?
in Marco Polo sheep.
Oh,
yeah.
those are cool.
Yeah. I was in Kyrgyzstan.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What was that like?
It was pretty wild, man.
How long
it was
does it take
cool.
to get there?
Oh, I don't know. It's really a day of flying and then a lot of driving. Like a lot of driving. I don't know, maybe 14 hours in a 15 to 20 hours in a car. I don't know, something like that.
And so how does one set up a hunt like that? You want to go hunt for Marco Polo sheep. How would you even start?
Yeah, it was like one of the things, like knowing somebody that has a connection with somebody that has they have like gamekeepers of the area, and then you get a permit from them, and then they go with you, that like the game wardens come with you. It's a whole deal. And like these people have the area and it's their job to manage that area. And so that's kind of how that works.
Oh, wow. And do you have to grease everybody up? Like you have to pay everybody?
No, well, I mean, you pay for the tags and the permits and everything. Yeah.
Okay. And then you don't have to pay all those extra people?
No,
They come
that's
with
all. Yeah, it's all part of the deal.
Oh, interesting. And so when you're doing this, are you horseback through the mountains? Like,
Yep. Yeah, horseback. Pretty high elevation. Probably, I don't even know what the valley floors would be. Maybe 12,000 feet, something like that.
wow, that's the valley floor?
Yeah, 10, 12,000 feet, something like that. Like pretty high up. Where we were at was on the China border, so it was pretty big mountains. And yeah, horses. They use these real small horses there. Incredible horses, like very good horses. But you're going on trails that are super sketchy. Like I wouldn't want to walk on them, and you're taking a horse on them. A lot of them we did in the dark. It was pretty gnarly.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was like going back through some of that in the daylight. It was a little uncomfortable knowing what we were doing in the dark.
Knowing what you went through at night?
Yeah,
and these guys do this all the time?
There's one spot where they took they must have brought just a barbed wire fence that has like a metal post. Mm-hmm. So they took a metal post and they pounded it into this, like, there's like a cliff, and then the trail had just wiped out. And so there's like a metal post that they'd somehow pounded in and then just put some stuff on top of it. And then the horse is backing up, like up against the wall, and then scooting around, and then does a little side hop over it and then goes. And we did that in the dark with no lights because we couldn't, it was a shit show. But coming back, looking, it's probably, 1,500 feet straight down. Like, and
oh my God.
thing where the horse is like just edging up against the wall. It's pretty wild.
You did this in the dark?
Yeah, it was not.
You had no idea?
No idea. Well, I knew, you could tell it's steeper than shit because it's just like dark and you can kind of see, but you don't really get the grandeur of what's going on in the nighttime. Kind of just hold on for dear life.
Why the fuck?
No
are they
saddles,
going at
really.
night?
It's like,
no saddles.
Well, you use like these blanket saddles. There's like a saddle horn and mostly just a blanket, and then stirrups with it. So it's kind of a different setup. Not like a Western saddle though. They're fairly comfortable horses though. But yeah, I didn't like that. It was wild.
Why do they do it at night?
It was just a weird. It was a weird experience. We left at night. I don't know what happened, but we got into camp. We went to this. You go through all these checkpoints. We got into camp. We're planning on going out the next morning, but then like some people came into camp and just started, like our guys and those guys started fighting. And then,
oh no!
And then it was a wild deal. And so they're like, we got to get out of here, kind of deal.
They started fighting, like fist fighting.
Yeah, just like, and they had a lot of guys.
So a gang fight broke out on your hunting trip.
Yeah, but it seemed weird. It was like, I don't know what was going on. And then, so that goes down, and we're just like standing back, like, what the hell is going on?
How does the fight end?
So the leader of their crew and our crew go into the house, and then they like have a sit down, and then we're like, our guys like, let's get out of here. So we like throw all our shit on the horses, like packs on there and everything. So that's why we didn't have any lights, because we just like threw everything on the horses, and then it's like, let's just ride. Okay, so we're getting set up, and then it was like, before we left, the weirdest thing. I wish I I wish I tried to like download some translation stuff, so I just had no communication with them. But the weirdest part was like, okay, everybody was good, and so we're loading up now. Everything's cool, we're all good, and then they want to take a group picture. Like, what the hell is this group? Is this like some proof of life picture? You know, like what is going on here? So we take a picture, and everything seemed pretty normal, and then we start writing off, and the guy that we're with has an AK, and then they start fighting for the gun. And at this point, I'm like, we got to get out of here. And so we just start riding, and then
They're fighting
he caught
for
up.
the gun.
Yeah, they're like wrestling for the gun. And then he gets on his horse, and we all just ride off into
What
the
were
sunset.
you thinking?
I was thinking we are so fucked.
You flew all the way over there.
I did not.
You're in the mountains.
Yeah, and he just
these
like
guys
in
are
the middle-
fighting over
yeah.
a gun.
Yeah, and their gun safety is abysmal. Like, it was not. I was just.
I've
more
watched
worried-
YouTube videos.
Yeah, it's dude, this guy, we get this. So we're driving, and it's a long road trip, and we're driving, and we pull into this guy's hometown, and he gets a shotgun. It's this old shotgun that's like pretty much duct taped together. And we're driving, I guess these like chucker across the road. They look like chucker to me. I'm sure that's what they were. And so he gets out, and he's trying to shoot these birds. He's like, all right, a little bit of camp meat. So he's trying to shoot these birds and doesn't get any birds. But he's now thinking that the chucker, or, in case we see one, he's ready. So he's got this double barrel shotgun that's loaded, and he puts it in the car, and he puts it with the barrel up, and it's facing toward my head. And I'm like trying to lean out the side. I'm not okay with this. So I'm like, hey, stop him. And I'm like, this is not okay. You can't have this gun facing me. And so instead of like unloading the gun or doing whatever, he just leans over and puts his hand on his shoulder like this. That's his gun safety. And I'm like, no. I get out of the car. I'm like, no, we're going to unload it. And we aren't going to go like this. I take it out. I unload it. I put the barrel down, like open it up. I'm like, here you go. Like, I don't care what you do, but I'm not having a loaded gun in the vehicle or a loaded gun pointing toward me. But like the thought of it, like his shoulder is just going to protect this shotgun from blowing my head off.
Well,
Like,
not only that,
insane.
what if his shoulder gets blown off and he dies? And you have to
Right.
figure out how to get back.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's just
Everything's
it was-
bad.
it
Your
was bad.
ears are blown out because
Yeah.
you can't hear anything
It was
now.
just not like it was
Fuck,
just bad.
dude.
It was it was wild. I don't know.
Did you know what the fight was over? Why they had a gang fight?
Yeah, from one of the guys, like it sounded like it's just like kind of tribe, and I don't even know if tribal's the right word, but it's like very like these guys wanted that territory, so they were like gunning for that territory. Like they
For
wanted,
hunting?
yeah, I guess, or whatever. They wanted to be the people that take the people.
Oh boy.
So it was like,
Oh boy.
yeah.
There's probably a lot of money in that.
Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah,
Yeah.
because the guy that I went with, like, I was like, "What's going on?" He's like, "No, I'm the big like." He spoke a little. It is hard to understand, but in the gist of it was like, "I'm the big boss, and they're gunning for me. Like they want what I have in a way."
The guiding business.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
you eventually get free.
yeah, we just rode up, and then we did our thing, and then went hunting and came back, and everything.
And when you came back, everything had been okay? There
was
more
nobody
gang
there,
fights?
but like the big boss was with us now. So I don't know what happened after that.
Was that the sketchiest hunt you ever went on?
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That sounds so dangerous.
Yeah,
because if they start shooting those guys, they're going to shoot you too.
Yeah.
That's just going to leave you.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think like in that it made sense. It didn't make sense, but what they were, I felt like I didn't necessarily think that we were in danger, but I thought it was like a weird situation because you could tell like they wanted something, but I don't necessarily know if they wanted something from us. They wanted something from the other people.
Whoa.
If
Like
that
a
makes
cut
sense.
of the action or something?
Yeah, exactly.
Sure. Well, I guess there's probably not a lot of work up there,
No.
and when
Yeah.
you're guiding hunters, especially the kind of hunters that are willing to do that, have some money.
Yeah.
Because it's a big deal to
Right.
get out there. Like Marco Polo sheep hunting is very hard to.
Yeah.
It's hard to do. I used to watch. What's that guy's name? Tom
Miranda.
Yeah. I used to watch that guy's another one. He was
Yeah.
always like in the middle of one fucking weird mountain range, camped up in this yurt with like 10 other people, and they're eating bread.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
like,
You're out there. There's no backup plan there.
and everything he was doing was bow hunting too. And he had his show was weird too because it was all about acquiring all, what is it? The big whatever.
Oh, like yeah.
When you're trying to the bow hunting
Some
thing, when you
slam or
get
something, yeah,
the
yeah.
grand slams where you
Yeah.
get like every single mammal on Earth with a bow.
Yeah.
Like they do the Africa, like there's the dangerous ones.
Oh yeah.
There's the regular grand slam, like all the African continent big animals.
Yeah. All the stuff.
It's a weird thing. It's
Yeah.
like almost like you're collecting baseball cards now.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, different places. I like going different places just for that experience of the hunting culture, and it's kind of interesting. Like you'll go somewhere, and maybe even there, like maybe didn't speak their language or whatever, but when we were on the mountain, it's like he's a hunter, I'm a hunter, and we had this certain kind of connection that you just don't get doing other things. Like it's pretty interesting where you go and it's like these are hunting cultures and they've done this for thousands of years just like we have, and we do things similar. And like we don't even necessarily need to communicate that well because we both kind of are doing the same thing in the same way. And it's like, okay, there's this, it's really cool to see. And then that whole like bring the meat back and the campfire cooking and the whole like experience, it's not foreign. Whereas like you're in this crazy place with all these other problems, but the hunting portion of it is very familiar, you know? And like, I really like that. It's like even going to somewhere else, you go, okay, let's go to a place where it's like, okay, yeah, I can. Do I need to go hunt a muskox to feed myself? Well, the muskox meat was really good, and I'm glad I did it. I don't have to go to the Arctic to feed myself, right? But it was really cool to experience it with people that have lived there their whole life and like have a certain view of it that is actually maybe even different, but that's how they grew up doing it. And to see that is just like a really, I like that portion of it. So that's why I like to go different places and just see how they do things in different places. And then there's that adventure element of going somewhere kind of untouched where a lot of people don't go. There's something kind of exciting about that.
So do you try to plan like your year with like a certain amount of these wild adventure places that you visit?
Yeah, I think so. Or if the opportunity comes up, it's more of just, oh yeah, I'll take advantage of an opportunity if it's given. Like, oh, hey, I know this person here that we can do this, and okay, cool, I'll try that. Or it doesn't matter whether it's New Zealand or Australia or North America, you know.
Well, you were doing a lot of trips in New Zealand, right?
Yeah, well, that's where I came from to get here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How often are you there every year?
I made a pretty short trip out of it this year, but just went over, hunted some fallow deer and saw some friends, and it was a good time. But
Like, what's a short trip for you?
that was only like a week.
Oh, that is a short trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because I used to go over there for 3 months.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's a lot shorter trip. But
That place seems amazing. And what a crazy thing that they did where they just introduced all these European animals to the landscape.
Yeah, then they've flourished. Like they do really well. There's no predators, so there's hunting, and then there's like essentially government culling, trapping, poisoning, wild what they have to do to maintain the populations.
Just to keep it at a reasonable, manageable number.
Yeah, and that's what happens when there's no predators on the landscape. The populations explode.
Well, Remi, you live a very interesting life, my friend.
Well, thanks. I
You really
appreciate
do.
it.
I always enjoy talking to you, and I enjoy your podcast too. Live Wild, it's a great podcast.
Yeah, thank you.
It's if you're into hunting-related podcasts, it's a very good one. Great tips.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Really fun, and I'm glad you did it.
Yeah, thank you.
And I really hope this works. I hope that weighs too
Yeah.
well. If anything can help, I bet that will. I really hope it will.
I have a lot of faith in it. It's funny because they said it'd be swollen and it's like actually feels better than when I went in
Really?
already. I don't know if it's just like a
Probably
they
has
shot
some
me up
sort of
with some I did an
exosomes.
IV bag too, which probably made me feel pretty good after traveling for so long.
They give you an IV bag of vitamins as
Yeah,
well. Yeah,
all of that.
that's great.
So that was good.
All right, brother. Tell everybody your Instagram. Is it just Remi Warren?
Yeah, Remi Warren on YouTube, Instagram, any kind of social media. REMI.
Have you ever talked about bringing Apex Predator back?
If somebody wants to, I'm down.
It was a great show.
Yeah, I know.
I enjoyed
it. Was a great show.
It was fun. It was a fun show.
Yeah.
All right, dude. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate you, brother.
Yeah,
thanks for coming here.
Appreciate it.
Bye, everybody.